Hey. Twitch.tv/ColdBrew-Confessional. I think I'm gonna buy a street and trail dirt bike, maybe. Drive it to work if nothing else, huh? Like a dirt bike, right? But it's street legal.
What you think about when you're born into a fire?
Save some gas money.
Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest.
Kettleheads of the Get to subscription, thank you.
They wanna let the world decay.
I'm here from Chattanooga. What's up? Chattanooga.
Slice and fade away with fear.
I almost took a job in Chattanooga once. I can't even remember the company, but they were this huge Haven outfit. They did a lot of out of work, like gigantic parking lots, malls, and Walmarts and stuff. And they wanted me to come in and run a crew for them. I just come off a job as being the safety man, so I guess they had they had not such a great year with a bunch of people getting injured. I ended up not taking it, but my dad took me to that interview, actually.
The truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world
Wanted to ride with me, so
burn away with fear.
he drove me down to the interview.
We were raised to lose the race. Wake up to the back of the pack.
Anybody got a street and trail bike?
To play.
I like the ones we had in the military. They were just basically multi-fuel KLR 650s, I guess. But they would run on JP8 or diesel. Any of the JPs, they were pretty cool. But if I could make any bike, it would be like a scrambler. So take like a cruiser style bike, but put it on some knobby tires, strip it down like you take it to a trail every once in a while. Those look badass.
We feel betrayed.
I had a couple cafe racers when I was younger.
To lose the
couple of Jixers when I was in high school.
Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake the back to the pack, kill it anyway.
I don't actually do speed. Thank you very much. I'm more of a hallucinogenic guy, but I've done speed before. So there's that, I guess. Anyways, that was the music. Let's run it.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I am Kathy H. Will not comply. Kathy H. will not comply. Thank you guys for joining us. We are not complying tonight. And a special message I was going to send to you guys.
Denise Moon 61 just resubscribed for 9 months.
Thank you, Denise Moon. By the way, I saw that Kettleheads gifted a couple subscriptions, or one subscription, but his second one to this channel. And Denise Moon has subscribed for 9 months in a row using Prime. Thank you very much for that. Prime is a free subscription you can use if you have Amazon Prime. I just ordered some stuff on Prime. I ordered a valve cover gasket for the Jeep. It's got an oil leak. But like I said, I'm Kathy H. will not comply, and here's the message I have for you.
And the lack of provisions within the stock exchange to stop these large shareholder grabs is what has allowed the bypassing of what is called the monopoly laws. There are a book full of them to keep companies from taking over their competition and becoming the sole proprietor of a service. It happened with Verizon. It has happened with AT&T.
Has roll been called yet? Here.
Thank you for the resubscription.
It has happened with the steel companies, but it didn't happen in this case because they were slowly, methodically, and very, very precisely purchasing stock at a very small rate until they owned a majority. Now they control these companies. The only way to stop this is to crash the stock market.
That's absolutely not true. First of all, there are provisions in place a lot of times to prevent hostile takeovers. That's what it's called, where instead of buying a company, you buy a dominating amount of stock. There are provisions in place. What she's talking about, where you buy a little bit of stock over a long time, the provision in place for that would be to not sell the stock. So if I'm sitting here with 51% of my company and I see that Verizon comes in and starts buying 2% every month for the next however many months, I don't sell mine, or I get other investors on board to not sell ours, and that's how you stop that. There are provisions in place about hostile takeovers. There are monopoly laws in place. Even you'll see it sometimes when such and such company wants to buy such and such. If they're afraid that they're going to get hit as a monopoly, if they're afraid that they're going to get tied up in legal fare, they'll get prior approval from like the SEC or the FCC, depending on what depending on what avenue they're in and what market they're in. They'll get prior approval, and it'll either be approved or denied for a monopoly. Is it perfect? No. Do sometimes monopolies exist? We were just talking about the cable company the other day, or telemarketing companies. Yeah, sure, they do exist. Is it a perfect system? No. Do we need to crash the stock market? Absolutely not. Has anybody found a better system yet? Not really. This is it. What do you want? It amazes me how many times that the Q-tards advocate for fucking full-blown socialism, and they don't even understand what they're saying. The government should control the production, and they should decide what gets produced and what doesn't. Why won't they step in and protect us all?
But those three companies, State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock, are the ones that are backfilling.
State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock own a lot of stocks. They very, very, very rarely have the controlling interest. All they're trying to do is make the people that invest with them money, okay? They're not trying to take over companies and decide what they do or what they sell or how they make money. They just want to be in profitable companies. They got a lot in defense contractors. They've got a lot in telecommunications. They've got a lot in medical invested, but they don't have a whole lot of like we have, the majority stock here and we decide what the company does. They just don't. You can go look at their portfolios. They're there to make money, and they invest in a lot of things. You'll hear people all the time saying, guess who owns this? BlackRock. And you look at it, they own like 4.5% of the company. And you're like, what, do they really own it? I mean, they own 4.5%, but are they out here making decisions that decide? Come on, Kathy.
The stock market, the Dow Jones, and the S&P to keep it hyperinflated. 10, 15 years ago, every time there was a world crisis or something adverse happened in the United States, there was a massive...
There's two different things, okay? There's having the largest controlling interest. So if I have 4.5% of a company, like I said earlier, and the next closest person to me only has 3%, there's no one over 3% besides me, then I would have the largest controlling interest. So what I would do is if I wanted a decision to be made, I would have to find a block of like-minded individuals and say, look, I have the largest controlling interest between me and you 10. Then we've got a majority of the stock. We've got over 51%. Then there's literally the controlling interest. When you own 51% or own a substantial percentage and the voting rights for some other percentage. So sometimes you'll see someone own 30% of a company plus 21% of the voting rights of like, I don't know, like out of country delegates. And so technically when they go to vote, there's 51%. There's also times that sometimes when it comes down to voting for things, they won't let corporate entities vote, like controlling corporate entities. It actually has to be real people that own the stock rather than, or the board of directors or whatever, rather than companies that own the stock for investment purposes.
Hike or drop in the stock market. They didn't like a tweet that President Trump put up. The stock market fell.
Well, yeah, but he was talking about nuking North Korea. That's not just a tweet. That's a threat on a sovereign nation. Come on, Kathy. It's not just a tweet. Come on.
It's not happening because it's these three companies. They control it. They got their money from the 1%. The multi-billion-dollar Illuminati. If you don't think that the cabal is real, you better dig the wax out of your ass because your ears are blocked.
Wow. Is that a saying?
It's not happening. They shriek the wax out of your ass.
I don't know that that's a saying, okay? Sounds like Kathy H. just stuck her foot right in her pussy. All right? Got tripped up on those words.
Because your ears are blocked. And you did notice I said the orifice on the other end of you. Because you're full of shit.
That doesn't line up. Dig the wax out of your ass because your ears are blocked because you're full of shit. I think you tried to play it off a little too soon. Little too soon.
This has been happening for over 2,000 years. These groups
Controlling the stock market has been going on for over 2,000 years.
have systematically taught themselves to be the devil's advocates.
For over 2,000 years. Since Jesus walked the earth, BlackRock has been putting the wax to your ass and your back orifice.
And they're doing just exactly that.
That's scary. Thank you,
Mama B, I totally agree with you.
Mama B.
I've been fighting against these vaccines since Trump first brought them up.
Ooh, she called him Drumpf.
It was
She called him Drumpf. That is, I think she might be secret Antifa.
all supposed to be different because he was supposed to have won. And then he could have wiped this out because I believe what they gave him.
BlackRock owns 8% of Jesus. It's a controlling interest.
Was ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, because that's all you need. But these people don't see that.
That's all wrong. Please don't take that advice.
We've
from
got
this
to
old
fight
lady.
against these vaccines. That's why nobody should take them. Everyone should be standing up and screaming at the top of their lungs at their departments of health. Dr.
I hate to tell you, Kathy, but you're in the vast minority.
Ladapo is one of the American frontline doctors of health. Dr. Ladapo is one of the American frontline doctors. And it has taken him almost a year to finally say that enough is enough and you can't take these. Don't anybody take them. I don't care what age you are. They have no effect on the COVID flu. It's not for the flu. It's genocide. It was to kill as many people.
It 1,000%. COVID is not the flu, guys. Like, I don't know what you need to see. It was the one of the most contagious, if not the most contagious thing that's ever been on the face of the fucking earth. Did you not see how crazy it was spreading? And maybe the mortality was way off, sure. But it was contagious enough that people flipped out. Like, governments and leaders are like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on? This is super contagious.
People as they possibly could. And we're coming up on the 4-year mark. And 4 to 5 years is going to be horrible if we can't get control of this.
By the way, they said everybody died in December. Then they said everybody died the next year. Then they said now everybody's going to die 4 to 5 years after taking the vaccine. Everybody.
There are millions of people who have been vaccine injured, which is why I am screaming loudly, no more vaccines, no more shots.
Oh shit! I didn't know that legend. I thought that you being trapped in that bubble was just some type of kink you had.
Don't take big pharma. Find yourself a holistic doctor or treat yourself. But my God, you cannot trust these doctors because they'll run around playing willy-nilly until someone finally calls them out on it. I've made a couple
Willy-nilly.
of Democrat doctors really angry at me, and I don't care.
I've made a couple of Democrat doctors really angry at me, and I don't care. You got it.
This Twitter post that I just put up from
Do you guys remember?
Geek Society.
Do you guys remember? Remember the Keck Society? Keck. I can't believe you're still running around pretending to be a Q-tard, and you think you don't even know what the word Keck is. What the fuck is the Keek Society? Anyways, do you guys remember the movie Bubble Boy?
Post that I just put up from Geek Society.
Keek
You need to
Society.
listen to it because we've had affidavits.
The term is Keck, K-E-K, and it's used in place of like, it's like laughing, like a laugh out loud, like Keck, right? Not Keek.
David Mamas on this channel more than once, and really need to have them on
Affidavit
again.
mamas.
Because they live through this every single day. They've been fighting it in Arizona for years.
Keck.
Because Arizona is having children stolen from their families. If you're in the hospital having a baby, they're very likely watching you to take your child.
To take your child. What?
Is having children stolen from their families. Arizona for years. Because Arizona is having children stolen from their families.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Is CPS the ideal place for a child? Absolutely not. The ideal place of a child is in a two-parent household that love and care for them and take care of them and protect them from things that may happen and takes care of them. But I have not looked into a single fucking case of someone who claims, I did nothing wrong and CPS just took my kids, and actually concluded they did nothing wrong. They're usually fucking crackheads. They're usually fucking cult leaders. They're usually crazy sovereign citizens who filed a bunch of weird paperwork that no one understood. They're usually trying to fucking take their kid to Michigan to keep them away from their father. Like that one bitch we covered. The guy that's going viral on TikTok saying he's the most wanted man in America and blah, blah, blah. Turns out he basically kidnapped his son and took him to some island with no extradition. Like, they're usually shitty parents, and they fucked up. Not the state, not CPS, not a conspiracy. They fucked up.
If you're in the hospital having a baby, they're very likely watching you
To steal your kid.
to take your child.
Woo! White from the womb. That was Kathy H., everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Then I found this video interesting. Let's see if we can get it to play. Kathy H. will not comply.
I need to record this so I can make sure I don't go to jail. The cop said I can break into my own property.
I need you to record this so I don't go to jail. The cop said I can break into my own property. It says, police let man break down his apartment door after his baby mama locked him out. Thoughts?
Go for it.
I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but
Why?
So how do you tell if the baby's yours? One of the best ways to tell it is, one, is it present? Or is it just a bunch of blankets wrapped together to look like a baby sack swaddled? Two, I'm pretty sure there's a way to count the rings on its butthole to see how many days old it is. I'm not positive. It does work on Mariah, but I've not tested anybody else. I can't get the mirrors in the right position to test myself.
you can. Because you said I can't pay for it.
Uh-oh. Sorry, that was pretty good. The cops are like, yeah, you can. I'm not saying it's the best idea. You're going to have to pay for it.
You can. Because you said I can't pay for it.
He's got it.
Kicking the door is not exactly easy. That might work a little better.
This is his apartment.
Yes, mine. I want to break it to somebody else. Come on, man.
No,
I know you.
I'm just asking. I came here probably about a month ago. I saw
You got somebody else that came here and know I live here.
We're not disputing the fact that it's your apartment. I'm just suggesting.
Don't let the neighbors do it.
Unsecured. I don't hear it. The door.
This is his apartment. Right now, everyone.
Does this town not have locksmiths? Or a kind of flexible credit card?
Can you let them pass by? They're just trying to get to the elevator, I think.
So their patio overlooks the pool area.
See, the top's compromised. You might be able to pry.
So their patio overlooks the pool area. If she possibly left the back door open, he could go in that way, but he'd have to like hop over the thing.
I can't go outside.
We're not suggesting that he do that.
No.
We're just simply here to try to keep the peace. If he wants to break his stuff, he can. If he wants to jump off patios and hurt himself.
Oh, okay, cool. We got it.
All right, I appreciate y'all.
This is the situation that he created for himself. It has nothing to do with us.
No, don't good morning.
Okay.
See y'all later. Have a good night. Bye, y'all. Yep.
And then he's a dickhead to the cops. The cops are like, this situation he created himself. Like, if he wants to break his own stuff, we can't stop him. But we're just here so people know it is his apartment and he's not breaking into. And he's like, see, guys, you're not needed anymore. Get out of here.
There you go.
Like, he fucking shoulder checks it closed. The fuck is going on here?
No, don't good morning.
Okay.
See y'all later. Have a good night. Bye, y'all. Yep.
I think she just locked him out and left.
There you go.
I don't think there's anybody inside, or they would have told her to open the door. Kind of weird, but there you go. Weird stuff I find on TikTok, I guess. All right, let's do some. Oh, Watchman fan page. Has he got new content?
No naughty girl.
In case you're wondering what's going on, he says, for my naughty girl. For my naughty girl. Then he does the helicopter. Go, 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 go.
No naughty girl.
Go, 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 go. For my naughty girl. Go, 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 go.
I'm out of town, thugging with my round. My coochie pink, my booty hole brown.
My coochie pink, my booty hole brown.
Right.
I don't think that none of these are new. I don't know why it was listed up there. None of that content was new. But there you go. Also, our friend Jammy's back. I do still hate her with a passion that cannot be quenched by hell's flames. But she left a bunch of weird comments, so I banned her again. If you happen to see Jammy in the comments, her new handle, her new YouTube name is No Handle. No Handle. She claims that she knows. She claims that she knows Zach from the Badlands Media, and he sent her nudes for some reason. But I don't think she even knows him at all. But that was a new thing that popped up. She must have been triggered from the time that I pretended like I was really in love with her, and then said, "Nope, you're just kidding. I fucking hate you." But she's back, so there you go. Go grab some Phil. You want to? Let's put this on the For You page. Oh, but one more thing. The number one, let's see, live. The number one streams in gaming right now are this. Let me see if I can find one quickly.
With the most basic.
You know how they rank the streams? I wish I could find one of these guys so I could show you how. how fucking dumb it is, dude. These people are killing it. Like, to be #1 on TikTok in gaming is a fucking shit ton of money. Let me see if I can find somebody. Hold on. It's the dumbest shit, dude. If I can find it, I might not be able to. Settings, wasn't it?
Glock magazines here soon, there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yep, definitely.
I don't know
play
if
Payday 3
live
and,
stuff goes into
everybody's
your
like, is this in VR?
watch history or not. I don't know why I went to that. It's literally like these people are playing modded versions of Grand Theft Auto. Doesn't look like it.
It's hella body bag.
They're playing modded versions of Grand Theft Auto. How do I find like the trending page? From like, I guess I would have to do it on here. Hold on. I can do it on the thing and then send myself the link.
Ooh. All right. Oh, we got him. See, but last time I had gas in the jar. I don't have gas this time. See, the problem is that they get out of
right here. What's this account?
Yo,
Yo, villain.
All right. So I got this mat thing in here. Now we got to figure out, well, now I can.
They're playing a modded version of Grand Theft Auto where basically, right here is what he's doing. So when you donate, he's running up this hill, and there's these little things that he can hide behind every so often, okay? And he's playing as Patrick. And when you tap the screen, it drops a motorcycle. When you give to Rose, it gives like a car, bigger, all the way up to bigger cars to where you can give like school buses. So he tries running up the hill while people pay money to knock him back down the hill in an endless cycle of hours and hours and hours and hours of streaming. He's making thousands and thousands of dollars and trending as #1 in gaming. Thank you for this.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Thank you for following. Thank you for following.
See all the trucks they just dropped? For some reason, there's a ton of fart noises, too.
Thank you for
I don't know what the fart noises are.
Thank you for following.
And then he goes to run again.
Thank you for.
He's probably live right now. Yeah, he's live right now. Well, this is it. This is it. He hides behind some shit, then he takes off running. And apparently there's different levels to this. And then as he gets higher up, people decide to donate to knock him back down. See, here comes a bunch of taxis or some shit, trucks, something. And then when it hits him, it knocks him down. And he can be knocked all the way off eventually. And it makes him like reset. Wanted to see him get knocked all the way off like that. Okay, so he gets knocked all the way off, then he just resets. Knocked all the way off, reset. He waits for shit to stop while he hides behind this container. Like literally anybody could do. He's not talking. His voice. Anybody could do this, and this has been trending on the #1 in gaming for a couple weeks now. Thousands and thousands of dollars are being sent in donations. There's a bunch of monster trucks coming at him. Thousands and thousands of dollars of donations, and he doesn't speak. He doesn't do anything but play this modded version of GTA and try to run up a hill. First of all, how low has our content standards gotten? Second of all, why aren't other people doing this? He's got 2,000 people watching him, but that's not how you rank up. You rank up from donations. That's how you get or likes and donations. That's how you get the like the #1 spot or whatever. So he's only got like 2,000 people watching right now, which I mean is more than I've ever had on TikTok. But the reason he's #1 is because all the money that's being sent to knock him off this ramp. There's a bunch of buses. Every time he gets close, anywhere close to the top, someone donates and knocks him down. And it's just tons and tons and tons of money rolling in. Like every car you see on the map is money. A motorcycle, a bus, whatever, it's money. And if you use a money gun, which is the highest donation that he's got on here, if you send him a money gun, it just resets him automatically. You don't even have to hit him with the car. There's like 30 fucking school buses or city buses. I'm telling you, I'm thinking about downloading this mod and just playing this shit. I know Call Me Kevin used to play Grand Theft Auto on YouTube live or Twitch live streams where they could do crazy shit. Like they could make it like, they could like switch off the gravity and like make him float around, or they could give you like the gravity of Jupiter and it would like instantly crush his body. They could make it like rain swords while he was running around trying to play. But he was at least trying to like complete missions and shit. He wasn't just running up a hill. Like, this is silly. The fuck is this? It's Patrick Starr running up a hill while you throw cars at him. For what? Fucking 2 weeks? Yeah, I think it's just to get money. I don't think it's to beat the game there, legend. Jesus. Let your autism go for a minute and just lean into it. What is this? This is apparently a mod that just puts people on top of his car. It's just a mod that puts people on top of his car. It just spawns people. And then he blows up. It says NPC for 30 taps, 2 NPCs for a rose, 3 armed NPCs, earthquake, magnet man, or black hole. Oh, they did the black hole, I guess. They donated something to get a black hole and he got sucked into it. This says NPC, earthquake, magnet man, black hole. Oh, there's apparently a bunch of aliens. And there he goes to running with Patrick again. And it's been trending for a while. See, he doesn't even speak English. He's from somewhere else. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's fucking killing it. His name is Yovillain. But he's from some foreign country. He doesn't speak English. He doesn't talk on any of his videos. He just does these weird gaming videos where people fuck with him. And then he does live streams where you can knock him down the hill, and that's it. So, okay, there you go. Anyways, Phil's just adjusting his camera. Give him a second, okay? He's a special contractor that he can't talk about because he's under NDA. He did clandestine operations that he can't tell you who he did them for because then they wouldn't be clandestine. Got it?
All right. This stupid camera thing. We were having just a little bit too much fun over there on Locals.
Oh, by the way, the thing I didn't say, I'm broke. Okay? I'm broke. So, send me money. And when you send me money, send it through coldbeer.fund. Okay? Was that plain enough e-begging? I'm broke. Send me money. My kid needs an operation.
So I had to cut that off because, you know, it was freaking a lot of people out apparently. So, welcome everybody. I had to cut that off because this stupid camera thing. We were having just a little bit too much fun over there on Locals. So I had to cut that off because, you know, it was freaking a lot of people out apparently. So, welcome everybody.
You were creeping people out on Locals?
To another live stream show. We got a lot to cover today. I'm not in my normal confines. As you can see, I'm still in California with Carrie. We had a little bit of a private vacation, you know, recharge type thing.
Yeah, they needed a private vacation. Isn't it Phil's life just vacation? And then he live streams occasionally? What? Who the fuck needs a vacation from vacation? Phil's entire life is vacation and lawsuits.
And we had a blast here. We're going to be going home within the next couple of days. But thank you for your patience with me. I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to Telegram. And obviously, I haven't done too many live shows this week, but I did sneak a couple in. So hopefully,
I think he's getting ready to share this brand. His necklace, we've seen this on a hat and on 2 shirts now. I think this is some type of brand that he's getting ready to advocate for, some type of Jesus brand, which would be a good money-making idea for him. Like if he owned 50% of a company and someone else on the other 50% and did all the work and all he did was share the links. Maybe I'll start a Jesus t-shirt company and get Phil to share the link. All right, so forget I said that. Rewind that, okay? Okay? Rewind that. Anyways, he's on vacation.
Cool with that. A couple things. First and foremost, the next week's shows are going to be pretty popular for a couple reasons. Number one, at some point next week, I don't know which day yet because I got to do some coordinating, but I'm going to have Nick Alvear from Good Lion Films on my show. I spoke to Nick a couple times in the past 7 days. He actually wanted me to go to Nashville to go to his event that he was having this week, but Carrie and I had plans, obviously, so we didn't get to do that. But I am going to have him on my show, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about, obviously. So that's going to be a good show for this upcoming week. I don't know what day it's going to be yet. I also don't know what time it's going to be. We obviously have to coordinate our time together because he has a schedule, I have a schedule, and whatever. So just be on the lookout for that. That is coming this week. Maybe just as important, maybe just as cool. I have one of the people who were personally involved with the documents that I put forward in my last live, the 21T live. I have one of those people that were on those documents that I've been introduced to that is willing to come on
General Zeleny,
my show, and talk specifically about the documents and answer some questions that you guys may have on them and kind of give a status update as to where things are, where they left
with Twack that I got concrete proof
off, what has happened since, this whole thing went down in 2017, and I think it's going to be pretty spectacular. I mean,
I was going to say the one thing you can basically find solace in, even if Phil never gets arrested, even if Phil never goes to jail.
Andy Gautier 66 just resubscribed for 5 months.
Andy Gautier, thank you very much. Thank you for the resubscription. I appreciate that. I am broke, and my kid does need an operation. When I say my kid needs an operation, I know you're probably thinking like a kidney transplant. He actually needs the game operation, but he's been requesting it for several days at least. But it sounds better if I just say my kid needs an operation.
It's going to be a great show. That is also going to happen this week. And again, I don't know which day yet. I got to coordinate with them. I also have to coordinate with Nick and set it up. So we got a hell of a week of shows coming up.
It's the Todd father with a voice changer. Oh, one thing you can find solace in with Phil is even though he may never go to jail, even though he may never lose all his money or get a class action lawsuit or violate his probation or see a jail, he doesn't spend money like someone who's going to keep money. Okay, he's not making good investments. He's not living frugally, frugally. Is that a word? He's not living frugal. I know one of the biggest streamers that has been basically invented. The guy basically invented talking about politics online on a live stream. One of the biggest streamers, and he still drives like a fucking Honda. His biggest expense is probably where he lives. His apartment's pretty expensive, but he still lives like he's broke and stacks cash, and he'll probably have cash forever. But the reason he does those types of things is because he watched his parents piss their money away, right? Live above their means. Not be able to, when a rainy day come, they wouldn't be able. But Phil spends every fucking dime he gets his hands on, right? He's even got the house out in Hawaii with some type of weird finance cash mortgage through some other couple thing. Shit was weird. So he's going to end up broke again. He's not treating his money as he should to stay wealthy. You know what I'm saying?
This week. Now, one of the reasons why I'm doing this, particularly with the source for the documents that I showed, is because I don't know, I'm noticing something weird happening. And I don't think it's weird in a really good way either. I mean, it could be in a certain way, which I'll talk about, but for the last 3 years since I've been live streaming, I would give a piece of intel or a piece of information or share a piece of reporting with you guys that I uncovered or maybe even someone else uncovered. And the common theme that I heard from my audience anyway, reading the comments on Rumble, on Locals, on DLive, also reading the comments on Telegram, the emails that come into me, the personal messages that I get, the comments back and forth between followers, the common theme that I've heard for 3 years is, oh yeah, Phil said this, prove it. And I understand that. There's nothing wrong with wanting proof of something. However, the type of operation that the White Hats have been involved in for an extended.
There's nothing wrong with wanting proof of something. It's just we have none. It's because the type of operate, but we have none. And then I show you proof from 11 years ago that was published on the internet already that Mike Penny's been talking about for a month. And then you're like, where's the proof?
Period of time now. A lot of things can't be proven the way that you want them to be proven, such as a Google article or a CNN report or.
So here's the only thing I can think, Andy. I think at some point, so it's hard for me. It's hard for me to come to terms with this because Phil is he's so blinded by his narcissism. I think that I believe that he thinks he can really win this fucking case. Like when he gets up there and says, "You can't prove I had sex with a 15-year-old." He's so blinded he doesn't even realize they don't have to. He has to prove that he didn't, and they should have known that somehow, secretly. But I think the way I see the way he's clipping, the way he's TikToking, the way he's doing that shit, the way I see that, I think at some point he said, "Hey, I'm going to sink $500K into lawyers. I've got it. It's not hurting me right now. But because it's probably a losing investment, I've got to make as much content as possible." And I think that's where the frazzle drip and the I can't tell you because it's clandestine, NDA, the cabal, all those clips are coming from his brain thinking, "I'm not going to win it, but I'm gonna get as many viewers as I can from it," because it has increased his popularity. He was never really on TikTok. We would occasionally see some, and Shaq to the Future would fucking roast his ass, but now he's kind of viral on TikTok, at least in the Q-tard world, and he's getting more viewers from that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it'll never go to it's not going to jury unless Phil has some type of crazy wild card bullshit up his sleeve to where like Bree's gonna like double back and say no, we didn't. I don't know. It'll never get to a jury. It'll be dismissed in January, maybe February latest.
A lot of times the proof doesn't come how you want it. However, there are some cases that in some reports that I've done in the past that do have proof. This is one of them. So about 4 weeks ago, I went live and I told you that there was a $21 trillion gift given to Donald Trump and the U.S. Treasury to pay off the nation's debt. I also told you that there were $300 trillion liens placed on certain entities and individuals in connection with that debt payoff. And after I held that live about 4 weeks ago, all I heard was, "Where's the check? Prove it. You said you had this. You said you had that." Okay. So I went live 3 weeks later with proof, and all I keep getting is negative feedback. So, it's normally around.
All I get is negative feedback for proof. No, I can't get. How would I possibly get the deposition? Unless Phil gives it to me, I can't get the deposition.
Now, where I just kind of get
up, shader girl,
move on, and start, talking about something else, doing a different topic, whatever. But not this time. Not this time. Something got me with this one. This one is a little bit. This one's a little bit more real to me, and I don't mean real in the sense of not fake. I mean real in the sense of we really need to focus.
So the reason I can't get it, if I would have paid for it. Which isn't cheap, it's like $5,000. If I would have paid for it, I probably could have got a copy of it. If went through the Scranton Times lawyer and paid for it and had paid, I probably could have got a copy of it. But if the Scranton Times lawyer gives it to me, it would look like he's trying to drum up negative because I cover Phil in a negative way. It would look bad on him in his case, and then of course Phil's not gonna give it to me because so much of it makes him look bad. Right? So much of it makes him look bad. He clipped out the 20 minutes where he feels like he looks good. He still looked bad, but the rest of it's worse. But if you pay for it, if you go through if I would have went and approached the lawyers and said, "Hey, I want to pay for this, transcript, blah, 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 paid the $5,000, I'm entitled to a copy for sure." But Phil would probably have a chance to object and do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on this particular set of intel. I think this is incredibly
I couldn't do that.
And I think once we get the questions out of the way directly from someone that was involved with this particular event, I think we're going to realize how insanely important.
Well, I can't. It's already been made, so I can't do it now. If we raised money to do it, it would be on a different case. So like the next case he's in, I could raise money and do it, and I pay for it and have it recorded and do that, and probably get a copy of it.
This particular set of information that I've been reporting on is. So I've been given the opportunity to connect with one of the sources that were involved in this, and we're going to bring him on the show. We're going to bring him on the show, and we're going to prove everybody wrong.
I will tell you this: if he honestly, which we know Phil lies about everything, but if he honestly has spent $500,000 on his legal defense for the Scranton Times case, he's getting shafted. Okay. Like I said, I was talking to a buddy of mine that's a lawyer that secretly watches the show sometimes. And we were talking about rates. I even called some local attorneys in the Pennsylvania area and was talking to them about rates. Me and him sat down and called a couple of them. And he's getting the shaft. He should probably be in this a little under $100,000. right? Maybe $90,000. If he's in at $500,000, he's getting the shaft.
So going into tonight, what I wanted to do tonight was a Q&A specifically on the documents. I want to know what you guys want to know about the documents that I may or may not have answered. And if I can't, I may be able to answer them tonight because I do have some information that's come to me since my last live stream. If I'm not able to answer them tonight, those are going to be questions that I reserve for the source that's going to come on my show this coming week. So now will be a chance to answer any questions that you may have regarding the 21T live that I did earlier this week, whether it's a question on the individuals that are listed on it, whether it's a question on the money itself, whether it's a question on the Treasury, the Federal Reserve, why Shanghai, whatever you want to ask. Tonight is the time to ask those questions because if I don't answer it tonight, I'm going to make a list of the questions that I was unable to answer. We're going to answer those questions from the source himself. Now, I don't want you to get excited and think that it's the source that I've been talking about for 3 years. It's not them. However, that source that I have been talking about for 3 years connected me with this group. So this group is...
I could potentially, let's see. Hold on just a second before I say anything. I could potentially crowdfund the money to pay for the deposition in a different case. The problem is, if we do that, there's a chance that there could be an objection to it, and maybe it doesn't go through. But I could potentially do that. But again, it's anywhere from $3,000 to the low end. I was told to expect $5,000. But, yeah, I don't know.
Is just as reliable as any report that my source, the only source you ever need, the guy that I talked about before, or girl that I talked about before, it's just as reliable as anything else they've given me in 3 years because of the direction that I was pointed to this group. So that's why this is real. That's why I know that this is real. And that's why I'm going to really pursue this one to the very end and prove the detractors wrong on this one. So before we even get started on the Q&A tonight, I want to point to a couple different questions that came up about the documents that I've been reading on Telegram and in comments and so forth. First of all,
let me give you a piece of legal advice here, okay? This is free. You can't, when you go to court, you can't just submit screenshots, okay? No court in the world is going to take just screenshots. They have to be validated by someone. We have to know where they came from. We have to see them in the original form and context. We probably need to forensically pull them from someone's accounts. And those people would probably have to volunteer, especially with Telegram. If those people don't volunteer, you're not getting through Telegram. I know Phil says that he's got everybody's IP address, all that stupid shit, right? Telegram has never, in the history of Telegram, given up someone's identity. They have a clause that if you're an actual suspected terrorist, they will work with the FBI. They've never even done that, right? The FBI's never met the burden of proof to prove someone's actually a terrorist to even get that. So the person would have to agree. They would have to submit their phone for forensic analysis, and we'd have to see much more than just a screenshot. Much more than just a screenshot. So you can submit all the screenshots you want. Will a jury ever see them? No. Right? Where's this from? How do you know it's this person? Right now, I could still keep my @WillBird as my actual username. And then the username that I present to you guys would say Phil Godlewski, and I could use his profile picture. And when I comment to someone or have a private message with someone, it would look like Phil. It would have his profile picture. It would say Phil Godlewski, and I could take a screenshot of that. The only way to know it wasn't Phil would be to click on it and then to see my right? My actual username through Telegram. So I'm @WillBird. No spaces, no capitals, no nothing. @WillBird. But I can change right now my name is CBC with a troll face. Before it was what was the charity case? I was a charity case for a while. I was Cold Beer. I was King Troll. And when I commented, and I could change it back to like at like 3 a.m. when nobody's awake, I could change it to Phil Godlewski. I could send 5 messages, screenshot them all, that I did sleep with a 15-year-old. I'm here to tell the truth. Screenshot all that. And then right immediately after I screenshot it, change my name back. Nobody would know it was even me doing it, and submit those to the court. Would the court be right in taking those? Absolutely not. How do you prove that that's the one that you're talking about? So you can send in all you want, but they're not going to make it to a jury.
On the very first document, and throughout the documents really, you saw an address for Upland, California. A lot of people immediately went to Google and whatever search engine and looked up this address, and they found that the address was just kind of like a hole in the wall building. I think it was like a Federal Express drop box or some sort of drop area. Not necessarily anything official, certainly not military.
Who the fuck says Federal Express? Does anybody say Federal Express? I've never heard anybody say Federal Express in my life instead of FedEx. Ever. That's like someone's like, hey, did you ship that? And you're like, yeah, it's coming United Parcel Services Incorporated. Oh, you mean UPS?
Let me put it this way. A covert operation, such as this one, such as the documents.
A covert operation with documents that were sent to public figures that could be requested with a FOIA request. Did you know any document that's sent like that from one party to another to someone who holds a public office is subject to a FOIA request? They may have to black some shit out, but it's subject to a FOIA request. And after it's 12 years old, it's even harder to refuse that FOIA request, 10 or 12 years old.
Entail or suggest. It's not going to come from some big building in downtown Chicago or in Manhattan, New York. It's not going to come from Langley.
Well, good, because it came from the UN, so it wouldn't come from any of those places, allegedly.
It's not going to come from Washington, D.C. This is going to be a very blacked out site, not a black site like CIA and the NSA use, but it's going to be a very inambiguous, very covert looking building, probably a building that they don't even operate out of physically. It's probably just a front building, probably just a holding building. It's never going to be some big operation. That's not how this stuff works. A lot of us, when we think of this particular, operation, we think of the way that normal operations run, right? Wrong. We don't live in that world anymore, guys. We don't live in a world where everything is normal. We just don't. We may want to, and we may want to think that how things operated in the last 30 or 40 years, or last 100 years, is still how they operate, but it's not. And it's not going to go back that way probably either. Not for a while anyway. So I'm kind of pushing the questions about the building and the address aside because they are totally irrelevant. 100% irrelevant. Okay? That's number one.
They're 100% irrelevant, so I'm not gonna answer anything about the building, the address, where they came from, who sent them. Nothing. It's irrelevant. I'm not gonna answer any of those.
Number two.
Got it.
A lot of mention, and I don't know why, but a lot of people have been taking my live and completely dissecting it, which is fine. I encourage that. But at least have some logical arguments if you're going to do that, because it really makes yourself look really, really, really dumb if you don't. And here's one of the dumbest things I heard and saw on these people. There's that girl with the glasses, and I don't have anything against that girl. She didn't say anything negative about me. She just said that the intel was wrong, and that was only her opinion. By the way, anybody that I've seen trying to dissect those documents are only giving opinions.
What the fuck do you think you're doing, Phil? What the fuck do you think you're doing? You had to make gigantic leaps. I'm talking Grand Canyon, fucking Evil Knievel rocket bike style leaps to say, oh, this has to do with that, and this is to that, and this is the 21 trillion from there was some left over. Now everybody gets $1 million. Well, math doesn't work out. I didn't say dollars. Okay.
They're not giving out any kind of anything in terms of proving the documents are wrong. So the lady with the glasses, Karen, or whatever her name is, probably Karen, should be anyway. She does some good decoding on Q stuff and whatever. I have nothing against her. She seems like she's a patriot, so that's fine. This other guy, what was it, Floyd? Pitiful Floyd? Was that his name? Pitiful Floyd? Wasn't Pitiful? Let me look at locals, maybe you guys know. Pitiful Floyd? Was that his name? Locals? Fake Floyd? I don't think that was it. I think his name was Floyd. Was it Fearless? There it is. It's not Pitiful then. Okay. It's not George Floyd either. Somebody said George Floyd. That's wrong. George Floyd. Yeah, Fearless Floyd, he made a video too, and one of his big debunking criteria was the tracking number. And he made a big thing out of this. He even got out a roll of tracking numbers. He even made it a point to log into his USPS account and say, look,
By the way, Phil said that these tracking numbers that are 10 years old can't be tracked. I actually pulled one up from a box I just happen to have here. So I bought, here's a side story. If you have a lot of weapons, about 12 years ago, I bought what could possibly be the greatest gun lube and cleaning oil in the fucking world. Okay, from like 15 years ago. It was like 12 or 13 years ago. I bought 2 bottles of it, and I still have some. But because the bottles are like prone to leak, they have like stoppers in them. I keep them in the original package that they were in, and like some paper towels in there. And I found the tracking number off it, and it was like 12 years and a few months old, and punched it in, and it still showed up as delivered to my old address. So they didn't recycle these tracking numbers. This was through the postal service. They didn't recycle the tracking number, and the tracking number was still good. It showed the day it was delivered, the time it was delivered, everything, the time it was shipped, where it came from, everything. And if you're wondering what the gun lube is, it's called Fire Clean. FireKlean. Fire Clean. I bought 2 bottles of it for like $25, and I've still got some. Shit's amazing. Or maybe it's KLEEN, Fire Clean, something like that.
I have an account. Big deal. Everybody has an account, don't they? But nonetheless, they're getting this tracking number from the documents, and they're plugging it into the system. Now, again, these documents are from 2017, 2018. You know, that's what, a good 6-7 years ago? So these people are taking the tracking number, plugging it in, and expecting to see the status of the delivery. Do you guys know? I don't know if you know this. Oh, they certainly don't know this, but...
It's hard to find the name of it, okay? It's hard to find the name of the Fire Clean stuff, because apparently there's like from a video game, there was like some Fire Clean. This is not the same as the video game, promotional the shit they made. This was actual Fire Clean. I'll look for it. Actually, it's not spelled with a K. It's spelled with a C. Here it is. Here's their website. I was looking at the one from the game. Here it is. It's in this white bottle. It says Fire Clean, FireClean. I watched them do some fucking amazing tests on 240 Bravos, 240 Golfs, 50 Cals, Saws. I got some amazing fucking tests. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to get that. And it is some of the greatest fucking shit I've ever bought. But now it looks like they might be shut down. Maybe gave you bad advice because it says example product title that sold out. And this was their website. That's the box. I bet you they don't have it anymore, do they? A dealer case for $538. Damn, it doesn't look like they have it anymore. It's amazing. I was actually thinking about buying some more of it just for like a spare. I still have a whole bottle left.
I don't know if you know this, but those tracking numbers only populate for 45 days. Did you know that? So after something is delivered, the servers at USPS only hold that information for 45 days. These people are looking at the tracking number from 6-7 years ago. It's the worst debunking I've ever seen. Ever. I'm like disappointed in these people who think that they're autists. Another thing, in the third, that was...
I don't think that it would be 45 days is nowhere near long enough. 45 days is nowhere near long enough. Hold on. The reason 45 days is nowhere near long enough is because if it gets lost in transit, it might take more than 40. Have you never had a package that gets like stuck at like a sorting center or some shit? It seems to happen to me way too fucking often. It'll get stuck in like Charlotte and it'll go out for delivery every day. Then it'll come back to Charlotte. It's pretty annoying. But it is what it is, I guess. But, hold on, I'm trying to find an old tracking number. Hold on. That's UPS.
PR_you betcha gifted me _N_you to a subscription. PR_you betcha gifted a tier 1 sub to me _N_you too. They have given 171 gift subs in the channel.
Thank you very much for the gifted sub. I'm trying to find an old tracking number, but I can.
Probably the dumbest debunking that I've seen out of any of them. Oh, the tracking numbers don't work. Ha ha ha. Careful who you follow. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just so stupid. And then the other main thing that they were trying to say is, oh, well, OMS, the Office of Military Settlements. I looked this up and can't find it anywhere. No shit. No shit, you can't find it anywhere. You're not.
No, you can find it multiple places. It's part of the UN. It says tracking information for signature items is available a minimum of 2 years. A minimum of 2 years. Don't people use like... Well, I guess you'd have the signature verification. You take a screenshot. I was going to say, don't they use this to prove stuff in court like years after something happened?
Not going to find it. Is it based in the United States? Probably, but probably very secretive. Is it based in another country such as Canada? Is it involved with the
Always available for... Oh, that's what I was thinking. Zachariah Lynn says, if you send certified or registered mail, the numbers and delivery details are always available for decades back. I would assume because you might have to go to court 5 years from now. And someone says, well, I never got that. Well, you signed for it, you know?
Is it, what is OMS? Who's in charge of OMS? And unless you do a very deep dive on the internet, you're not going to find too much stuff on OMS. To be quite honest with you, I've never heard of OMS until these documents arose. And then I started looking and I did find some actual data on the OMS and the people involved in the OMS and a lot of questions about the OMS I'm going to reserve until I'll answer what I could tonight, obviously, once we start the Q&A. But did somebody just say that my necklace looks like a swastika?
A little bit.
Is it me or a swastika? It's a cross. Like a swastika. How on earth does that look like a swastika? No matter what way you put it. Anyway, you're not going to know much about the OMS. I didn't know much about the OMS, and I don't think it's a negative thing that I didn't know that or we didn't know that. This is a very, very covert and clandestine type operation. There are people involved with it. There's a group involved with it that have been telling me things over the last couple of days that I didn't even know about, and I think we're going to clear a lot of that up this week. And I think our focus should completely be on the $21 trillion, guys. The documents that I shared had proof that there was an account directly related to the individuals who were in the documents, Zeleny, Baker, and many others. And that
Zeleny
account was...
We found Zeleny. He's a sovereign citizen from Canada who believes he works for the United Nations.
Given a letter of authentication from HSBC stating that, yes, this individual does have $300 trillion in their account. Do you guys know how much $300 trillion is? That's about half the money in the world, half the circulated money in the world. Who has $300 trillion? Where did that money come from? What's the source of the money? If it's half the money in the world, what is the source? Who funded that account? How long has the money been in the account? These are the questions that I ask. That is an HSBC letter with all of the appropriate...
Wait a second.
How long has the money... If it's half the money in the world, who has $300... know how much $300 trillion is? That's about half the money in the world. Half the...
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Circulated money in the world.
I don't know why we didn't hit on this earlier. I didn't realize that's what he was trying to say, that they had $320 trillion. In 2023, the total amount of money in the world in circulation is $40 trillion. 40. According to a 2023 report, the total amount of money in the world is roughly $40 trillion in circulation. That is narrow money. Narrow money, often represented as M0, is liquid, physical money, and those in savings and checking accounts. There is also something called, this also includes deposits in money market accounts. These are not physical money, but can be used for digital transactions. When you talk about broad money, you should expect around $90 trillion as the total amount of money in the world. Phil is trying to say that that's broad money. That's money that doesn't actually exist. 90 trillion is broad money. Difficult to arrive at a specific answer. The question of how much money is in the world. How much money is in the world is only a function of money supply, and money supply is always moving. For instance, when any bank in the world issues a loan, the money supply increases, and at the repayment of the loan, the supply decreases. So whilst the recent report, total amount of money in the world, shows that there are $40 trillion in circulation, if you made that into American currency, because everything's a different currency, this figure only represents narrow money. Financial analysts forecast that the figure is set to increase as developing countries are making committed efforts to stabilize their economies and increasing the total money in the world. Broad money is digital money that sets on numbers on lines, but is not like in long-term storage, allegedly. Like, it's money that can still be technically used. So you have money market accounts, you have HELOCs and shit like that. Money held in investments cryptocurrencies and derivatives is over 1.3 quadrillion, but it's not in circulation. Cryptocurrencies alone, all in circulation, is about 2 trillion, while investments in commercial real estate is about 30 trillion. These contribute to total money in the world, although not a significant amount. Bitcoin, for instance, contributes less than 1% of the world's money. However, total money in the form of investments, derivatives, and cryptocurrency is greater than the total money in the stock market, around 95 trillion.
Who has $300 trillion? Where did that money come from? What's the source of
Nobody.
the money?
The world doesn't have $300 trillion, buddy.
If it's half the money in the world, what is the source? Who funded that account? How long has the money been in the account? These are the questions that I ask. That is an HSBC letter with all of the appropriate confirmation that that particular person who was listed on that account, or that group, whoever it was, had that much money. The other thing was the $21 trillion certificate. Now, it wasn't.
So the 83 million you're getting from Siri is from Go banking rates, and it says there's nearly 83 trillion in the total global money supply, but 48.9 trillion of that is M1. That M0 is liquid. M1 is not investment status, but it's like locked up money that's actually not liquid. It's not as far as like commercial real estate or stock market, because that stuff is harder to make liquid, but it's like a second stage of non-liquidity. So you have M0, which is fully liquid. Let's get all these. Hold on. All right. The smallest, the main feature is distinguished by the 4 measures. So you have M0, M1, M2, and M3. Okay. They're nested. So how do I explain nesting to you? All right. M0 is an amount of money. M1 will include the money in M1 and in M0. M2 will include M1 and M0 and M2. M3 will include M3, M2, M1, and M0 all together, okay? M1 is the smallest amount of liquid. M1 is strictly currency in circulation. M0 is currency in circulation plus bank reserves. M0 is often referred to as monetary base. M1 is defined as the sum of currency in circulation.
Phil can't get none without Viagra, though he tries and he tries. It's really floppy, but he tries.
Oh, it's really floppy, she said. Thank you very much. Y'all are nuts. I recognize that voice anyways. I hear it in my nightmares. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you for the donation. So M0 is in circulation, as Phil just said, plus reserves. M1 is circulation plus reserves plus demand deposits at commercial banks and other liquid deposits. Okay? It is called, it's usually called narrow money. M2 is everything in M1 plus savings, time deposit accounts under $100,000, and the retail money market. M3 is everything in M2 plus larger time deposits and institutional money markets, the stock market and everything else that's involved in that. So if we're talking about money in circulation, we're going to have about about 40 trillion, I guess. And then if you include M1 is somewhere in between 80 and 90 trillion. None of it's 300 trillion in circulation. There's no goddamn way. You're off by orders of magnitude, Phil.
A check per se. I mean, you guys could very clearly see that. Maybe I should have been a little bit clearer about that in my original live. But the 21 trillion wasn't a check, but it was as good as a check. It basically said, if you have this piece of paper and you're the person listed on it, which was Cheryl Morrow from the U.S. Treasury, when you present this paper to us, we will pay you $21 trillion.
Oh, so it wasn't even a check. It was just a piece of money that says, I'll give you $21 trillion if you'll bring me this piece of paper back. Actually, I'll send you a little bit extra and you cash the check and send me the money back.
Life. But the 21 trillion wasn't a check. Now, it wasn't a check per se. I mean, you guys could very clearly see that. Maybe I should have been a little bit clearer about that in my original live. But the 21 trillion wasn't a check, but it was as good as a check. It basically said, if you have this piece of paper and you're the person listed on it, which was Cheryl Morrow from the U.S. Treasury, when you present this paper to us, we will pay you $21 trillion. That's the same thing as a check, is it not? You take a check to a bank, you present it, show them that it's you, and they pay you what it is. So, to me, the $21 trillion check is proof that that money not only existed, but it was intended for the U.S. Treasury. Now, did it get there? Was the debt paid off? How is Trump involved in this? Who is giving the money? Who is this OMS entity? Who is Zeleny? Who is Baker? Who is the Shanghai entity? How is HSBC involved? Are they just simply the bank that's holding the money? What is all that stuff? That's why I wanted to do a Q&A tonight, because I think we need to address all of that. I think we need to see what questions you guys want to ask for when the individuals come on the show next week. We're going to figure it all out. So now's the time that you're going to ask as many questions to me as you could about those documents, and whatever I can answer, I will. Whatever I can't answer, I'm going to obviously keep this recording. This will be uploaded to Rumble and DLive and whatever, and I'll refer back to the video prior to my live, and I'll make sure that I ask as many questions during my interview that I could, that you guys really want the answers to. So that's how we're going to treat tonight.
He's going to interview Zeleny. He's got to. The guy's been on every fucking show claiming all this crazy. He's going to interview this Zeleny dude.
We do that? Why don't y'all tell me where you're from? Let's start over here with the locals. Give some shout outs real quick. Wyoming, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Washington, Southern California, Lake Tahoe, Boston. Hope you like my accent there. Georgia. Holy shit.
I'm going to be why he's doing this stupid shit.
Ohio, Colorado, Florida, Coweta, Oklahoma, Oxford, Mississippi, New York, Central Florida, go Dogs, Portland Junction, Fort Dodge, Iowa, Toledo, Iowa, Chattanooga, Round Earth, Georgia. That guy is not, he doesn't know where he lives. Hawaii, Pittsburgh, Fulton County, Georgia, home of the corruption, Mid-Michigan, Alaska, Johnson City, Brook, Indiana, Old Forge, Pennsylvania, my former home away from home, DeForest, Michigan. This one says never gets a shout out. DeForest, Wisconsin, Michigan, I said. That is not a place either, by the way. I don't think so anyway. Victoria, Texas, Brentwood, Tennessee, Fisher, Texas. Let's go over to Rumble. Shout out from Indy, Hudsonville, Alabama, Leesburg, Virginia, West Virginia, and proud. Vancouver, Canada, Chapin, South Carolina, Ohio, Four Corners, cool place, Logan, Utah, Idaho, Columbia City, Myrtle Beach, New Zealand, Alliance, Ohio, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Played some baseball there for a short period of time. Red Lion, Pennsylvania, Hendersonville, North Carolina, DFW, Texas, Anoka, Minnesota, Massachusetts. Don't wear those masks. Pearland, Texas, Winona, Minnesota, UK, Bath, New York, Lake Havasu, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Dem Boobies, Birmingham.
Oh, there it was. Boobies.
Okay. Traverse City, Michigan, and we'll do one more. Texas, Boyne City, Rocky River, Ohio, Flat Earth around the corner. Okay. Traverse City, Michigan.
Flat Earth around the corner.
And we'll do one more.
Hilarious.
Let's get one that we don't normally see. Las Cruces, New Mexico. Cool. Calgary, Alberta. We'll finish with that one. Great job, guys. We obviously always have a global audience, but knowing where you guys are from and announcing it kind of makes us more real. Makes it just like you're sitting in my living room. I kind of like it. So.
Just like you're sitting in the living room, guys.
So I'm coming from North Carolina. Listen to me, mother. I'm in Northern California, home of the Redwoods. Did a little bit of relaxing, rewinding over the last, probably here, I think, for 7 days. And just to recharge the batteries a little bit. Enjoy my wife. And just continue to live life like we are. Work a little bit from here. Had some fun frolicking around in the woods, checking out some really remote beaches. Really cool place here. We're in an Airbnb right now, so we don't have a property out here as of yet. But I'm strongly considering it because it's a very, very beautiful area out here. So if you were never here, I would strongly suggest it. The Trinidad area, Eureka. Where were they? Arcata, McKinley. That whole area is just absolutely beautiful. We're in the Trees of Mystery a couple days ago. They got some amazing beaches here, very remote. Not the type of beaches you see, in big areas. These beaches don't have anybody on them. You're there by yourself. So really, really cool area. Not very warm. According to what we're told by locals, never really gets above 80 degrees here. Very little snow, if any. Kind of just hovers in that 50 to 70 degree range all year round. So it's cool. Pretty cool place. Hope you guys are having a good time too. I know that we're all dying to get out of this political nightmare that we seem to be wrapped up in, but I think we're getting extraordinarily close to that. And on that point, I want to mention, I think for those of you that have not yet done so, I think you're looking at a window closing very, very soon. And very soon you're not going to be able to do anything in terms of your 401k or IRA. Now, I've been talking about this for a very long time. I was hoping everybody had taken my advice. I know, though, that there are some out there that have not yet rolled over. If you've been approached by any of the companies associated with Gold Quiz in the past, I strongly suggest getting back to them and having another conversation with them, because I'm telling you, maybe for one of the very last times, that I think your 401k or IRA should be in precious metals. And after tonight's show, and by the end of next week's shows, I think you're going to see exactly why. This $21 trillion and the $300 trillion that was verified by HSBC, that's going to have a big effect on some silver and some gold. So if you haven't yet done it and you still have that 401k or IRA invested heavily in the stock market, invested heavily in the fiat dollar, I have a link in the description. It is goldquiz.com for those of you that have never heard of it. You could take your current 401k or IRA, talk to the experts at goldquiz.com, and they will find you the best place to roll over your current 401k or IRA into precious metals. There's no tax hit or anything like that. You're not cashing out. You're just rolling over. So that gives you the
anything to give Phil more money.
Security that your
basically
wealth
is what
not
we're
backed by
saying here.
Not backed by the Federal Reserve, and it also gets you out of any sort of stock market situation. So I've been talking about this for the last year or two, and I strongly suggest that
the year or two. Goldco for a year or two? I don't think so.
You are that you
definitely not too.
Everybody has their own way of considering wealth and what they do with their wealth. That's totally fine. But when this does go down, that window closes. It's not going.
He always says, this is probably the last time I'm going to talk about it. Probably the last time. He just posted the other day and he said, this is probably the last time I'm ever going to post this, but
going to reopen. So hopefully you guys are heeding my advice. Okay, we're gonna hop into the Q&A right now. Now, just so we know before we start, the Q&A is only about the $21 trillion documents. It's not about anything else. We're not talking about Biden. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We are simply and very specifically talking about the documents that were on my last live. I want to get as many questions out there as I could. If I can't answer them tonight, I will formulate a list for my source that's coming on the show this week who was involved in detail personally with this process.
Everything must go. Close out prices. He's going to have one of them wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man on his next show.
So we'll get those answered at that point. Hey mods, if you're watching, I need you on Rumble. I got a couple idiots over there, and I don't want to lose track of any of the questions here. So, all right, we're gonna start off by taking some questions from locals. First question: where did $21 trillion come from? Great question, obvious question, if you ask me. I think I know the answer to that because I think I was given that information, but I would already, like in the past few days, but I would rather wait to answer that question. I want you to hear the much more detailed answer to that question from the source, not from me. I could give you a couple word answer right now and a really basic explanation. I don't want to do that. I want you to hear the full one, which will be next week. So great question to ask. Same thing with 300 trillion. There's another question right there. Let's hold off on that question for now, and we're gonna get a specific answer later. Where did the $21 trillion go? Was it applied to our debt or was it stolen? I have conflicting information on that right now. I was originally under the impression and told that it was paid off, the debt was paid off. Then I was told possibly not. So I think, again, that's going to be another question that we'll wait to get answered this week.
Put a 1 in the chat if you would be okay with yourself or your husband ever using the word frolicking to describe what he's doing.
On our upcoming live.
Put a 2 in the chat if you're not okay.
Can you explain deeper about what a lien is? Sure. A lien is basically, if you go buy a house and you don't have the money, the full amount to buy a house, you take what's called a mortgage, right? So you go to the bank, they ask your credit score, your income source, all of that stuff. You have to meet certain criteria in order to qualify for the mortgage, okay? If you do meet that criteria and the bank is willing to give you the mortgage, they will give you, let's say you need $300,000 for a $330,000 purchase. You put $30,000 down plus your closing costs, the bank gives you $300,000. Now, they're not just gonna hand you $300,000 and you sign a promise to pay. What if you break your promise? The promise to pay just shows that you are willing to make the payments that they're giving you, right? There's an instrument called a lien that they file it publicly, they place it on the property itself so that if you ever sell that property, before you can make any sort of money, before anybody gives you $1 for that property, the bank has to be paid off whatever they're owed. That document that they place on the property is called a lien. So in other words, if you buy a house, you own the house, it's yours, it's in your name so long as you pay. If you stop paying and you renege on your promise to pay, they're gonna come take your house in a process called foreclosure. Now, a little bit different in this situation with the $300,000.
Phil knows about that. Phil's been foreclosed on when he was a crypto millionaire.
$300 trillion lien, that lien is placed against an individual, a corporation, a company, LLC, or whatever. It's filed with the UCC, okay? That is basically a commercial division for liens. So this is a commercial lien filed against all of those entities and people that we saw in documents, right? Those people cannot do anything financially until those liens are paid off.
Go back.
So no one's paying off a $300 trillion lien. I told you that's about half the money that's in circulation right now. So no one's able to pay that out. So that means no funding. There's gonna be absolutely no funding for any of those entities while that lien is in place. There will be no borrowing. There will be no anything. They're not able to get or receive any sort of money until that lien is satisfied. Now, if you guys remember, we didn't have a lot of, and this is another question I think I personally want to ask the source when he comes on the show. I was originally told, and I originally reported, that these liens were filed against every state in the United States so that the state governments cannot function. There's no funding for anything. It cripples them, basically. It renders them useless. Every single organization, every single agency, every single everything within the United States in each state, because of those liens, are unable to function. Unless and until there's an event that allows them to. What would be the event? And Sarah would be one that I could think of. You know, maybe new currency, maybe the end of the Federal Reserve.
Okay, all those.
Maybe new gold or silver or gold and silver backed currency.
So you guys frolicking? Everybody's a big fan of frolicking. I can tell.
That would be a good way to remove the liens. What do you say? So that's what I first reported, that the liens were all over every state. What the document said didn't necessarily say that, although it could have, but didn't necessarily say that.
Look how white my arm is.
This week as well. Next question here.
It glows on look at that. It glows on camera. Jesus Christ. I gotta get a tan.
Will we really have a government shutdown even though we really aren't in a $33 trillion debt? No, I think the story that is being propagated by the media right now about a potential government shutdown because of a funding, whatever, it's just all for show. I think it's, again, just more evidence, more conjecture to show you how screwed up of the system we actually have and how badly we need a drastic change. Not just a change, not just the change in party from, Democrat to Republican or, MAGA to liberal or liberal to MAGA. Not just a change. We've had many of those changes and nothing's ever changed, right? Not just that kind of change, a big change, a big, never before seen change. And I think that is exactly what the last 3 years has been setting us up for. Now, we saw in Nick Alvear's film a couple live streams ago, Greatest Show on Earth, that we are in a military operation. We are in devolution. We are in continuity of government. There is a commander-in-chief who usually we recognize as the president of the United States. There's currently a commander-in-chief and a president who are two different entities. Joe Biden, not really Joe Biden, is president of the United States, but holds very little, if any, power.
That sounds like Derek Johnson, but it's not true when he says it. It's not true when you say it.
The commander-in-chief is the guy that...
Yeah, I always wear a t-shirt. I'm in the sun a lot. Actually, this is probably the lightest I've been in a while. It's hard to tell because of the way the light's shimmering off of it. But I get quite Mexican-y. Is that a word? Probably not. We're going to go with it. I get quite Mexican-y. My dad, that's why they called my dad Julio. That was his CB handle because he looked so Mexican when he worked driving a dump truck for a long time, and he would get tanned so dark, and he has dark black hair like I do, and he always had like a little black mustache. They called him Julio. That was his handle. And like for the longest time, a lot of people there that didn't really talk to him, they weren't truck drivers. They did other things like on a paving crew or whatever. They thought he was legit a Mexican.
Is controlling everything. And I told you this before. He's not only controlling the United States, the military of the United States, he's also controlling the World Alliance. So much more.
Could I elaborate on CIC versus president? They're one and the same. No law, no suggestion, no memo, no anything has ever changed it. Derek Johnson's proof for this is that the Military Justice Act clarified that there are certain things that fall under the military Uniform Code of Military Justice. There's other things that fall under state and federal prosecution. Sometimes those two things overlap, and there's ways to handle that. Sometimes there's technically what a lot of people would probably consider double jeopardy. You can get in trouble for a state charge and get in trouble in the military and get a discharge or get locked up or whatever through a tribunal. But that's all it clarified. It had nothing to do with who's the CIC commander-in-chief and who's the president. They're one and the same. They always have been. His second piece of evidence is that Joe Biden signed a document. Basically, the Congress has been trying to come up with a way for the last probably 10 years to keep the president from unilaterally just going to war without declaring war. And one of the stoppings they put in for that, one of the stops they put in for that is that you have to report to Congress every 180 days if we're taking military action abroad. And Joe Biden took the reporting portion of his requirement. Like I'm assuming all presidents are going to do this. He's supposed to report in front of Congress every 180 days or every 90 days or whatever when our troops are in action overseas, even if that's in a training capacity. And you have to report to Congress. He gave that to his SecDef, which is probably a good idea. The president doesn't know the ins and outs of what's going on. He's briefed on it, and that's about it. But the Secretary of Defense would be a better person to brief him anyways. Now, when he gave those powers back, he related to another bill, and he said, hey, 1550, I'm delegating those powers to the SecDef. At the bottom of the 1550, there's like a thing that says like something about Trump was supposed to be the first president that had to do that because the law was passed when Trump was in, that he was going to be the first president to report after 180 days. So Derek Johnson's proof is, hey, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a memo that says Trump's name on it. So that must mean that even though it says Joe Biden delegated these powers and authority to the SecDef, that really means he granted them to Donald Trump because his name's at the bottom. The commander-in-chief and the president always has been and always will be the one and the same.
On that as we go, but I don't anticipate any sort of government shutdown at all. No. Why pay off debt if the debt would be erased with NESARA? Excellent question. Excellent question. I was hoping somebody asked that because I was also reading some comments in the Telegram chat regarding that specifically. Here's why. If the $21 trillion gets made out to the U.S. Treasury, okay, let's say that actually happened. General Zellini, who we saw from the OMS and the documents, Zellini authorized this payment. The funds were proven by HSBC. The payment was authorized to the Treasury. The Treasury took the money and paid off the national debt, right? Who does that debt go to? That debt goes to primarily the Federal Reserve. Who is the cabal, right? That's the cabal. The Federal Reserve is not the U.S. government. So the Treasury takes that $21 trillion, pays off the national debt via the Federal Reserve, via the cabal, right? Why? Why would we pay the cabal? Why would we do that? What happens if immediately after the cabal is paid the $21 trillion? What happens immediately after if EO 13818 kicks in? 13848. What happens if those executive orders kick in right away? What if the $21 trillion does go to the cabal and then all those assets are seized through executive orders by Donald Trump? So is it possible that the $21 trillion did pay off the national debt and everybody was happy for 24 hours and then boom, in come the EOs, bank seizures, everything is completely captured because of the election interference and various other things, human trafficking, child trafficking, and everything else? Could it have been, here's $21 trillion, pay off your debt? The cabal's like, all right, I mean, we'd like money, give it to us, and then we give it to them, and then boom, immediately cut them at the knees, gone. And by the way, we also have their gold. Pretty possible. And honestly, that makes perfect sense, does it not? It lines up with EO 13848.
There you go. You can't give the money to the cabal because if the people helping Trump give the money to the cabal, and then Trump kicks in 848 and seizes the money from the cabal, then what? Well, will he just get the money back, wouldn't he?
It lines up with EO 13818. It lines up with all of the executive orders pretty much in succession from how Nick Alvear went over them in his film.
He does, Grifter Phil. He acts like he believes it. He doesn't. I'm almost certain he doesn't believe any of it. Well, he wouldn't be making up a fake background if he thought any of this was fucking legit.
Don't ignore things that are hitting you right in the face, like a load of bricks. I mean, it's very obvious. Let's pay off the debt and then seize it. Take it right back. All right, we'll head over to Rumble for a couple. It's from TJP68 in the documents. 21 trillion was for the debt. Later in the documents, there was something about 300 trillion. Can you explain what the 300 trillion was? What was the 300 trillion for? The 300 trillion in the documents were for a couple things. Number one, there was a document in there, if you remember, from HSBC. That's a bank. That is a authentication that the $300 trillion does exist in an account. And the account was specified, the account holder was specified, and a couple other things. So go back and read that document. That was the first thing that was mentioned in. The second thing that was mentioned in are liens. These liens were filed. They do exist. That's one thing that these debunkers of the documents just completely ignored. They really wanted to go look up a tracking number that hasn't existed for 7 years because they're only in the database for 45 days. Everyone wanted to look up the tracking numbers. No one looked up the liens. Why? Why didn't anyone look up the lien? The lien numbers are on there. Just go to UCC and you'll find that the liens, they're filed. They were filed on the exact dates that were in the documents. How could the documents contain actual, real, factual liens? Go look up those liens. They're still there.
Anybody can place liens on anything. UCC paperwork. We learned last night UCC paperwork, or the night we covered it, is basically useless until someone tries to go forward and enforce it.
They were never satisfied. How could they be satisfied? It's $300 trillion. Who has $300 trillion? In order to file a lien of such magnitude, you need proof. You can't just file a lien. You can't go file a $300 trillion lien against me. You got to show cause.
Wait, you said that he had $300 trillion, and then he also filed a $300 trillion lien. Are you sure you just didn't understand? You just didn't not understand the paperwork?
Those liens were not only filed, but they were accepted, meaning cause was shown. So everyone wants to go look up the tracking numbers. Great, go do it. Say, we got you, Phil. The tracking numbers don't populate. But don't look up the UCC liens. Don't do that because maybe I'm right. Crazy. So that's what the 300 trillion was. She Bowen gave a Rumble rant here. She said, there's a game on. I've got my husband right where I want him, sitting next to me, raising my volume. He can't fall asleep now. That's great. Sounds like something Gary would do. Lisa Fox, how are you, Lisa? Are we repeating World War II history? Meaning Operation Overlord. Gold, Utah, Sword, Juneau, Omaha beaches, except it will be the U.S. that is liberated. Point in case to your documents in $21 trillion live. Lisa, I have to give you credit. And I seem like I give you credit quite a lot because you do some good research and you make some good connections. I've said this before. I have not even really drawn that connection, but it is very similar. It appears very similar to what happened back then and what's happening now. I don't know for sure. Obviously, in this particular case, I don't have an involvement, so to speak. I'm aware of it and I'm reporting it, but that's my role as of now. So I see the connection you're making, and I have to admit that it is a pretty good connection. But I don't know. I don't know specifically the yes or no answer to that question. So I'm aware of it, and I don't know this before. I have to give you credit, and I seem like I give you documents in meaning Operation Overlord. Gold. Sounds like something Gary would do. Lisa Fox, how are you, Lisa? Are we repeating World War II history? Meaning Operation Overlord. Gold, Utah, Sword, Juneau, Omaha beaches, except it will be the U.S. that is liberated. Point in case to your documents in $21 trillion live. Lisa, I have to give you credit. And I seem like I give you credit quite a lot because you do some good research and you make some good connections. I've said this before. I have not even really drawn that connection, but it is very similar. It appears very similar to what happened back then and what's happening now. I don't know for sure. Obviously, in this particular case, I don't have an involvement, so to speak. I'm aware of it and I'm reporting it, but that's my role as of now. So I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. What is he talking about? In 21, meaning Operation Overlord. Gold. Sounds like something Gary. She said, there's a game on. I've got my husband right where I want him, sitting next to me, raising my volume. He can't fall asleep now. That's great. Sounds like something Gary would do. Lisa Fox, how are you, Lisa? Are we repeating World War II history? Meaning Operation Overlord. Gold, Utah, Sword, Juneau, Omaha beaches, except it will be the U.S. that is liberated. Point in case to your documents in $21 trillion live.
Operation Overlord is the Battle of Normandy. What the fuck is he talking about?
Lisa, I have to give you credit. And I seem like I give you credit quite a lot because you do some good research and you make some good connections. I've said this before. I have to give you credit. Point in case to your documents in 21 trillion. Operation Overlord. Gold, Utah, Sword, Juneau, Omaha beaches, except it will be the U.S.
Gold, Utah, Sword, Juneau, Omaha beaches.
That is liberated. Point in case to your documents in $21 trillion live.
But we're liberating the U.S. Operation Overlord was the code name for the Battle of Normandy. That's what they referred to it as internally. I don't know where they're getting the rest of this from. Like all Phil said is that they're writing a big ass check, and now he's like gold, Omaha, Utah, Sword, beaches. What do you mean? It's exactly the same.
Lisa, I have to give you credit. And I seem like I give you credit quite a lot because you do some good research and you make some good connections. I've said this before. I have not even really drawn that connection.
But you haven't connected that Phil's a sham. I don't think you're making the connections you should be.
But it is very similar. It appears very similar to what happened back then and what's happening now. I don't know for sure. Obviously, in this particular case, I don't have an involvement, so to speak. I'm aware of it and I'm reporting it, but that's my role as of now. So I see the connection you're making, and I have to admit that it is a pretty good connection. but I don't know. I don't know specifically the yes or no answer to that question. So that is a good question. I think I might reserve for our source that's going to come on the show this week. So I'll make sure we have that one on reserve for sure. 98C, $17 Rumble rant. If states can't operate the current liens, which have been issued, how does that thing seem like business as usual? Do they? Great question, by the way. 98C, I recognize you too. You're a regular ranter here on Rumble. I know what you're saying, and I'm picking up what you're putting down. How is everything business as usual? But is it? And when I say that, I mean, how do you know it's business as usual? Because of the media? Because of what congressmen say? Senators? Governors? Biden? His press secretary? How do we know it's business as usual? Because I could tell you that there have been, and you may or may not have seen this yourself, there have been many people just on my Telegram channel alone that report some really strange bank activity where they were credited back, $100,000 out of nowhere, where their bank would not let them make transfers. We see all the time right now these new machines that are popping up in.
I was just given $100,000 out of nowhere.
Supermarkets and retail stores. They're like an ATM machine, but it doesn't say dollars. It says U.S. notes.
By the way, no, it just says notes. That's the only thing it says, and that's because a majority of the world refers to currency as notes. There's nothing different between like currency and notes, right? They're the same thing. A lot of the world refers to as notes. If we have to make a machine that we can install all the way around the world, and we have to have two different dispensary landings for like where the money comes out, and one says US, one says dollars, and one says notes. Why wouldn't we just make one piece and put them out there?
Not referred to as a note. There's no currency called a note. It's a dollar. There's that. Then we also have some very strange funding going into Ukraine. What's that all about? Why do we also have a report that the Pentagon cannot find? And this is the biggest thing that I want everyone to really research the heck out of. I think everyone here could agree with me that $21 trillion is a lot.
The Federal Reserve currently issues $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100 notes. They've always been notes.
Large sum of money. It's not.
We don't use that, right? We don't use that often, but they've always been notes. There's no difference.
$20.5 trillion. It's not $15 trillion. It's not $30 trillion. It's a very specific $21 trillion, right? So when 98C says business as usual, I want to point to the article that the Pentagon said they have an unaccounted for $21 trillion. Did anyone see that article? If not, you should go look it up. There's some videos about it. There's some articles about it.
Have you? I got a 20, I got a 5, and I've got a 1. All right. Now, I'm gonna teach you guys something. Have you all never looked at, has Phil never looked at money? He has enough of it. Has he never looked at money? Literally, at the top of this, it says Federal Reserve note. That's a 1. Here's a 5, Federal Reserve notes. Here's a 20, Federal Reserve notes. Just because we call them dollars. I don't know if I could get this camera to show it. Hold on.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because
Stop that. Might be too bright. Oh, there it is. It'll focus on it. See the word note right there at the end? I moved my middle finger underneath it. Notes. It says Federal Reserve Notes. Oh, you can see it right there. I can see it on the screen at least. Federal Reserve Notes. Every one of them says notes. It's not a note. It's a dollar. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? It's a dollar. Because it is a Federal Reserve note. Like, that's what it is. That's what it has been. That's what it always... Just because we call them dollars doesn't mean that they're not notes like the rest of the world. The fuck is wrong with you? I got to put all my... That's my money I'm saving for Oliver's operation. In case anybody wants to go to coldbeer.fund, make a large, substantial donation. Let me switch the cameras back. There it is.
But wait till it get home. She gonna be like, damn, shit, my God.
Good work on it, debunking and exposing this scum. Some about you 5 6-packs. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The Pentagon came right out and said
dollar is the amount monetarily A note is a note. It's a Federal Reserve note. And then it's worth $5, the denomination.
We have $21 trillion that we have absolutely no idea where it came from. It's not earmarked for anything. We don't know what this is. 21 trillion, huh? 21 trillion. They didn't say 25 trillion. They didn't say 20 trillion. They didn't say 17 trillion. They didn't say 35 trillion. They said $21 trillion. Specifically $21 trillion. What are the odds that the Pentagon has this unearmarked $21 trillion and the documents that I'm showing you show you a receipt?
We looked up that. We looked up this. It was mostly that these went to unlabeled. I'm sure some of it's like black money. It's kind of a. Hold on just a second. It's kind of a red herring, I guess. It's not that $21 trillion is just lost or missing. It's the way that it's labeled and put into the system and what is it actually for. And the public doesn't really know what it's for, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's not earmarked in the typical way that the public would know what it's for, right? So it's like investigative journalists are like, where's this money going? What's it going? You know, hold on just a second. This is from there. So AOC tweeted about this. This all came out in 2018, I think. AOC tweeted about this, said 21 trillion of Pentagon financial transactions could not be traced, documented, or explained. The 21 trillion Pentagon accounting errors, Medicare for all only costs 32 trillion. That means 66% of Medicare for all could have been funded already by the Pentagon. And that's the story exclusive to the Pentagon's massive accounting fraud. The 21 trillion is in military transactions that just aren't labeled appropriately. Now, this isn't for 1 year, okay? Because the Pentagon's budget from 1998 to 2015 was only 9.2 trillion. Like, this is over time. It's not earmarked specifically, so it's kind of, they spend it on something. But we as taxpayers should probably know what they spend it on. And when investigative journalists go to look at it, it's hard to tell where it went and what it went to. It's their unsupported voucher adjustments, I think is what they called it. Unsupported voucher adjustments, which didn't technically fall into a category. It's not the actual money. It's a set of adjustments that have been made to the records over the years since 98 or since 95 or some shit like that, right? They've made these adjustments that have added up to 21 trillion. They've made these adjustments to the records that have added up to 21 trillion over these years. It's not 21 trillion is just missing, basically, I guess is the easiest way to put it.
For what amounts to a check to the U.S. Treasury. That's just a coincidence to you guys? What? That's not business as usual. And no offense, 98C, I'm not saying anything. But to me, it's not business as usual. There have been so many weird things happening. Sam Bankman-Fried, or whatever his name is, the crypto guy that was money laundering from the Democratic Party to Ukraine or whatever, that guy's in a lot of trouble. He's in on this side of things. You also have the major banks that collapsed this year. The media don't want to talk about those banks, but all of those bank collapses that happened this year in 2023, they were bigger than what happened in the financial crisis in 2008. Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, IEG. We're in a bigger crisis this year than we were back then. No one's talking about it, but that's not business as usual. 2023 has been the worst year.
Wait a second. Wait a second. The same article from The Nation that AOC quoted also noted that Professor Skidmore's analysis does not contend that all of this $21 million was spent either as in secret or as misused funds, and that transfers are found on both positive and negative sides of the ledger, thus potentially netting it out completely. So some of this 21 trillion was like plus the 1 trillion here, minus 1 trillion there, and they would mark each other up. So there might not be any fucking money there. Todd Harrison, the director of the Defense Budget Analysis at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said the 21 trillion figure double and triple counts funding that is transferred internally it's nowhere near 21 trillion. It's just being counted multiple times. And just because a transaction cannot be fully traced and documented does not mean it was fraudulent or wasted. All of these have legitimate purchases and legitimate expenses. Instead, it means the Department of Defense has not been able to pass the audit. So they failed their audit. The whole Pentagon failed an audit. But it looks like what's happening is like when they're sending money from like this department to that department or back and forth, they're not labeling it correctly. Thank you for the gifted subs. They're not labeling it correctly, and sometimes it's being added 3 and 4 times. So it's nowhere near $21 trillion. Sorry, I just found that article.
Financially, for banks, ever. Not business as usual to me. Great question here. Shepard is 13 asks, why do you think other, quote, truthers are avoiding talking about this? Do you think they soon will be?
Mike Penny already is.
Yeah, what a great question. I'd love to answer this one. So, quite a while ago, about a year, maybe a year and a half, I told you guys that, it wasn't a year and a half, it was a year or under. I told you guys that there are many truthers who really don't want to associate with me. That's fine. I don't want them to associate with me anyway. I'm not crying, trust me. But I did say that they were going to be forced to. They don't want, for whatever reason, I guess I threaten them. I don't know why. Is it jealousy because of how many people watch me and they don't watch them? Is it the fact that they know that their information
or that you're lying about your numbers and you're the only person that can see them, remember?
Has no source behind it, and they are essentially just reporters of regurgitated information, maybe. And I'm not mentioning anybody specifically, but there are a lot of truthers out there that do that. They're just talking to each other, and they'll talk about what that guy talked about, and then that guy will come on their show, and they'll talk about somebody else, and that guy will come on that show. I don't do that crap. How many shows have you seen me on? 2? 1? So I think what you're seeing now with these documents, and where I know this intel stream is going to in the very near future, they're going to have to talk about it. They're not going to have a choice. Does it suck that I reported it? Well, no, not for me. You can see the views that we're getting. It's kind of going to suck for them because I brought it to attention first, and they don't like that. I have one of the people coming on my show that's a direct involvement with those documents that was there for every step. It's a big name, too. They're coming on my show. They're going to have to report it. They're not going to give me any sort of credit for it, but I don't care about credit. Never cared about that. They care about credit. I don't care about that. But it will be quite ironic. Good question. It's from 98C again. I work for Amtrak, a government-funded entity, which was a pet of the late Joe Biden, and I assure you it's business as usual here. Yeah, so your company in particular, Amtrak, will be business as usual. You're going to get funded. You're going to get paid.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be business as usual. You are. And anybody else that pops up and says, I work for so-and-so, you're business. But what you're not seeing is the other places where you don't work.
All that's happening. You're just not getting funded through the normal way that you've always been funded. So I think that the United States corporation is defunct, bankrupt, gone. I think we are operating on a different budget altogether and a different financial
Thank you, Bucka.
Operation than we've ever been on before, and it's been that way since January of 2021. So you're, as a worker or as an employee or even as a higher up of the company, you're not going to notice anything different. You're still going to get paid and everything's going to be, status quo for a while. When you asked before, I thought you meant like more of an overall thing, but when we zoom in on a particular company or a particular business, yeah, it's going to seem business as usual. There's not going to be any disruptions. I have people that work, sources of mine that work for the IRS. I know for a fact that the IRS is no more, but they still work there and get their paychecks there. That's because this hasn't come out publicly yet. It will.
The IRS is no more. It doesn't exist. But they still work there and get their paychecks from there. What? What? Is that why Phil isn't paying taxes? Who knows?
And that's when things will change, not only for the IRS workers, but also for you and many other government entities. This is from JFiz, $5 Rumble Rant. If the $21 trillion was paid in 2017, how was it affected by EO 13848 since it wasn't passed until September 2018? So, good question. I like where your logic's going with that. If it was paid in 2017 to the U.S. Treasury, but the debt wasn't paid off until a later time, let's say later in 2018. We know 13848 was issued in September of 2018. So if the Treasury had the money, but didn't use it for its intended...
They just sat around all day and pretend to do work because it's not public yet. Are you not keeping up, me and you two? Damn.
Purpose? That's how. It was probably, they probably waited while they had the money, and it's probably when the Pentagon article came out, the report came out, we have 21 trillion, what are we doing with it? No one knows. We don't know where $21 trillion came from. Well, I know where it came from. I know where it came from. So...
It didn't come... They're not... The story doesn't say they got an extra 21 trillion and they don't know what to do with it. It's accounting errors internally.
Is it that the Treasury held onto it, maybe in the Pentagon, where there were trusted generals that would not leak it? And then only after EO 13848 and EO 13818 came out, that's when it was paid. And then
they're not saying it's a surplus. They're saying it's missing. Oh my God.
Do I know that for a fact? No, but it makes total sense. I think we'll find out more this week. This is from TJP68. If the debt was paid off and the U.S. corporation went bankrupt, where is the government money coming from now? Are they just printing it, or is someone loaning money to the bankrupt corporation? So we are talking about a couple things. We're talking about, wow, we have really high viewership right now. By the way, good point. And I will answer that question, but since I just realized how many people are watching, please give the video a thumbs up on Rumble. That helps with the algorithm. More people will see this. If you are not yet a subscriber on Rumble, totally free. Hit the green follow button. It'll ask you to make an account. Make an account. You actually can't give a thumbs up unless you have an account. And more importantly, your view is not being counted. if you don't have an account on Rumble. You could watch for free with an account. You could watch for free without an account. The only thing is your statistics are not showing. And the more numbers we have, the more people end up watching. It's just how it goes. So please, if you haven't created an account on Rumble, please do so. It is free. You're not going to get bombarded with any kind of advertisements other than the ones that I talk about. And it's legit. Rumble is a very trusted company. I know the higher ups very, very well. And they just told the UK Parliament to go pound sand too, which is really cool. Attaboy Chris Pav. Anyway, what was the question? Oh, where's the money coming from if it's a bankrupt corporation? Good question. If the government is bankrupt, as we all think it is, where is this funding coming from? It's not coming from the Fed, so where's it coming from? If there's $300 trillion floating out there somewhere, it's coming from that. And guess what? There is $300 trillion floating out there. You know how I know? Because I saw a letter from a bank where they authenticated it, where they said, yeah, this person has it. Okay, well, why isn't it in Shanghai Bank, in Hong Kong? Well, what's that all about? Well, probably has to do with the source of the money. Where did that money actually come from? Where did it originate? It didn't originate from the Fed. It didn't originate from the central bankers, right? It originated elsewhere. Where? That's what I want to know. I want to know where that money came from. I want to know where that money came from, because once we know where the money came from, it'll make sense why the money.
By the way, the 300 trillion figure for HSBC, the only place that I can find that HSBC, the 300 trillion figure, is that they were sued by our federal government, and there's a bunch of court documents from this. I said this while I was covering it. They got in trouble with the federal government, and I don't think they got sued. They got taken to court by the federal government. So they did 100 million wire transfers over a period of time while the Justice Department was observing them for over $300 trillion. And 2/3 of those transfers, so $200 trillion, never went through the camp review system, which makes sure like you're not a terrorist, you're not money laundering, you're not with the mafia, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And to operate inside the U.S., they're going to have to run those wires through that camp system. A lot of them came out of Mexico, originated out of Mexico, and may have even terminated back in Mexico through a couple of leaps. Go to the U.S., go to somebody else in the U.S., go back to Mexico through HSBC Bank, and they weren't running it through the camp system, which validates it that it's not a terrorist or a drug dealer or a criminal or a human trafficker. And they got in trouble for that. $200 trillion worth of those transfers didn't go through that system. Of the $300 trillion worth of wire transfers that they did. So they got in trouble with the Justice Department. And a lot of the documents that come out of that list HSBC and their $300 trillion worth of wire transfers for that time period, blah, 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 all that. From 2006 to 2009, HSBC Bank USA monitored wire transfers using an automated system called the CAMP, Customer Account Monitoring Program. The CAMP system would detect suspicious wire transfers based on parameters set by HSBC Bank. Under the CAMP system, various factors triggered review, in particular the amount of transactions and the type of and location of the customer. During this period, HSBC Bank USA signed each customer a risk category based preliminary on the country. They got in trouble for this, okay? They failed to adequately monitor the threat that these could be. Okay, it says located in countries categorized as standard or medium risk, including foreign financial institutions with corresponding accounts, would not be subject to automated monitoring unless the customers were otherwise classified as high risk. During this period, HSBC Bank USA processed over 100 million wire transfers totaling over $300 trillion. Over 2/3 of these transactions involved customers in standard or medium risk countries. Therefore, in this 4-year period alone, over $200 trillion in wire transfers were not reviewed by the CAMP system that should have been. Between 2000 and 2009, HSBC Bank and its executives and officers were aware of numerous publicly available and industry-wide advisories about the money laundering risk inherent to Mexican financial institutions. These include the State Department, a couple from the State Department warnings, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network warning, a FinCEN warning, federal money laundering investigation that became public in 2007-2008 involving Casa de Cambio Puebla, a Mexican-based money service, the federal money laundering investigation in Wachovia. So it's basically a money laundering investigation where HSBC was tied up in it.
It was held in Shanghai and not in one of the puppet Federal Reserve banks. That's what I want to know. So I think the funding is coming from that source. $300 trillion. Do you guys know how much you actually need to fund the government? It's not as much as you think. Go look it up. Very, very easy. You could fund the federal government. Very easy. With very small tax. Sales tax alone could fund the federal government. Just sales tax.
Sales tax alone. Just sales tax.
I'm excited to find out where that money came from. I don't know. I have an idea, but I don't know. But that is going to be a very big question that I ask our corroborating source this week. Lisa Fox again. Hi, Phil. Does your statement seals can be dangerous refer to corporate entities using state seals to certify business dealings and election? West Virginia seal is mentioned in your live. Wow. Lisa's referring to a video that I did earlier this week with Carrie. When we were on the beach, they were actually sea otters, but I refer to them as seals because they look similar. And Lisa's asking if when I was talking about seals, did I mean something different, such as what she just described? And I can't really explain.
Yes, of course. Always coded.
I do this, or what happens in my mind when I do this. But when I'm in an environment like a beach and I see a seal, my mind doesn't immediately go, oh, look, a seal. And it's just that flapping thing that waddles around like that. That was a really bad impression, too.
Oh, my
mind
God.
thinks of the word seal.
Oh, my God. Hold on. Let's slow that down. I can't explain how my mind works. I'm Rain Man, basically.
It's just that flapping thing that waddles around like that.
That was Carrie. That flapping a thing that waddles around. I'm drunk. That was Carrie, Phil, you dumb fuck.
In an environment like a beach and I see a seal, my mind doesn't immediately go, oh, look, a seal. And it's just that flapping thing that waddles around like that.
Yeah, that was Carrie. We all saw her there with her baby bulge. And by baby, I mean she just drank a fifth of liquor and we can see it in her belly.
That was a really bad impression, too. My mind thinks of the word seal, and then it thinks of how many other meanings of seal are.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little
Here comes the seal.
I'm drinking.
She can balance a ball on her nipple.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm
drinking. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. 600 bits to bring the seal across the stage.
There. Like, if I look at this chair, that's right here, right? It's a chair. It's made of wood. It's at a table. That's a chair. But you know what else I think of? Chairman of the board. He's the chair. She's the chair. So I will associate double meaning with words. I do it all day long. My kids can't stand it because I'll say one thing and then they'll respond to it, which is the obvious way to respond to it. And then no, I didn't mean that. I meant this. It's the thing that I do. My mind works differently. I'm built different. Right, babe? Right. Built different. She said right. So there's verification that I'm built different. Anyway, so when I think of seal, I think of different things. And you're close to the right track with what you said there.
Get ready. He's built different, guys.
Greg, 1982, revealing your age. Phil, do you believe IQD will revalue soon? I'm going to go out on a limb specifically with that one and say 30 to 45 days. It's not much of a limb, really. Someone asked over here on local, so did China save us? I think you're referring to the 21 trillion and the 300 trillion. The way they pose the question is a little vague, but from what I know and what I think happened, the roots of that money are very, very old, extraordinarily old. And I think once we find out where that money actually came from, I think we're going to be dumbfounded because I have a feeling I know. I just don't want him to speak. All right. Timeline question. This happened before the 600 and some plane loads of gold from the Vatican. Is this money in addition to that? Yes, it is. So what the asker is asking is, it was widely reported, even in Nick Alvear's video and in my reporting too, a couple years prior, that after Trump's world tour in 2017, he came back with plane loads worth of gold that was stored at the Vatican in the basement of these enormous warehouse-type structures, stacked to the ceiling with huge gold bars. And all of that was shipped back to the United States, seized due to legal whatever. Is this 300 trillion whatever in addition to that gold? Yes, it is. So the question is, we have the gold and the 300 trillion? Yeah, that is exactly right. How do you beat somebody like a cabal that has $600 trillion? That was the estimate of the Rothschilds' wealth, with more money. And then when you have all that money, crush all the debt, eliminate aggressive military around the world, get into humanitarian projects, give the money back to the people.
There you go. Nasara. Yeah. Just Sarah, right? At 25, his dick didn't work. That's right. At 25, he was on Viagra.
On locals, wasn't Rumsfeld about to tell about the television is worded weird. Wasn't Rumsfeld about to tell about the missing Pentagon money before 9/11? Yes. Morning of, actually. Alan Greenspan had a press conference set up to talk about it, actually. And the going theory at the time, according to intel that I had, according to rumbling that I heard at the time, was that press conference was to announce NESARA. And then, of course, 9/11 happened. I'm sorry, guys, we're not talking about the X-Patches tonight. It's only about
no X-Patches tonight. Nope, not doing
what month and year will we actually have NESARA debt relief? I wish I could tell you that. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I really don't know. I know that
most maps are built different. Damn. Hit him where it hurts. Most maps are built different.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I really don't know. I know that many moves were reported in the past by me and by others, and that certain criteria were met and certain, hurdles were leapt in regards to NESARA, but if you're asking me for a specific date, I don't know. And honestly, I learned my lesson about committing to dates, so I'm just careful with that anymore. I don't want to let you guys down if the plan changes and I have nothing to do with it. So, let's see this one. Are the 1.5 trillion treasury dollars now on the debt clock the overage from the 21 trillion payoff? Yes. But that would be the going logic, right? You see 1.5 left over. That was the overage, if you remember from the documents. After that was paid off, it came out to 19 trillion and something. There was still like 1.2 or 1.5 left over, surplus left over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's with the current debt clock. Isn't it amazing how all this starts to piece together perfectly? It's like perfect puzzle pieces are finally just laying on the table and we're there to look at it. But yet we still have yahoos out there that want to talk about UPS tracking numbers. Just such baloney, I don't know. This is from court reporter Crystal. The IRS, Phil, Phil, the IRS is now using collection.
What does he mean makes sense with the U.S. debt clock? Hold on. Let me go back and listen to that again.
EPS tracking numbers. It's like leftovers, if you remember from the documents. After that was paid off, yes. The 1.5 trillion treasury dollars now on the debt clock, the overage from the 21 trillion payoff. Yes.
The treasury dollars. I'm looking for it. Hold on. U.S. Treasury dollars, 1.527925 and it's going up constantly. U.S. Treasury dollars 2025. This is money issued by the U.S. Treasury. It says wealth-based, debt-free, non-interest-bearing money issued by the U.S. Treasury. Is that money that's been issued like in circulation? What it looks like, but it's 1.5 trillion, but the extra was 1.2 trillion. There's no way to look at this historically, is there?
That would be the going logic, right? You see 1.5 left over. That was the overage, if you remember from the documents. After that was
here we
actually,
go.
it came out.
Debt clock time machine. Let's go back to the 80s. In 1980. Do they even have this listed in 1980? U.S. national debt, federal budget deficit. Yeah, they've got it listed, but it's listed under Federal Reserve monetary base in 1980. Let's try 1990 and see what it looks like. Federal monetary base. Yeah, it's money that they've created. Why does it list 2025 beside it? U.S. Treasury dollars in 2000. Then it says 2025. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out this goofy ass looking fucking debt clock. See what it was in 2020. $599 billion. 599 billion is what it was like in 2020. In 2027, what's it say it'll be? In 2027, it says it'll be 5 trillion. I don't know why when I go to 2023, why does it jump just that to 2025? That's the only thing labeled as 2025 there. That's weird. But it's money that was created and put into circulation by the US Treasury.
to 19 trillion and something. There was still like 1.2 or 1.5 left over, surplus left over.
Jade just resubscribed for 11 months.
Thank you very much. I don't think half the time when somebody pops something up in his chat, he has no idea what it is. He just kind of agrees with it. He's like, yeah, we'll roll with that. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. And that makes sense with the current debt clock. Isn't it amazing how all this starts to piece together perfectly? It's like perfect puzzle pieces are finally just laying on the table and we're there to look at it. But yet we still have yahoos out there that want to talk about UPS tracking numbers. Just such baloney, I don't know. This is from court reporter Crystal. The IRS, Phil, Phil, the IRS is now using collection agencies to try to collect. We used to get bills directly from the IRS. Yeah, and one of the reasons for that is because the IRS isn't the old IRS. What's actually operating there now is a skeleton crew, and it's not like it used to be. So you are going to see some third party, if you will, collection agencies popping up and trying to do what the IRS used to do. That's not going to work. All right, we'll go back to Rumble for some. 98C again, another Rumble rant, $17. Phil, is there anything we could do to speed up the Black Swan event or the stock market crash?
This has been a thing since 2021. Okay. There is a law that went into effect, and it says the law requires the IRS to use private agencies to collect certain inactive outstanding tax debts. Effective September 23rd, 2021, when the IRS assigns your account to a private collection agency, one of these agencies will contact you. The CBE Group, Coastal Professional Incorporated, or Conserve. But it's only for certain inactive. It says private collection agencies will work on accounts where taxpayers owe money, but the IRS is not actively working them. Several factors contribute to the IRS assigning these accounts to private collection agencies, including older, overdue tax accounts or lack of resources preventing the IRS from working the case. The IRS will give taxpayers and their representatives written notice that the accounts are being transferred to private collection agencies. The agencies will send a separate letter to the taxpayer and their representative confirming this transfer. Private collection agencies will be able to identify themselves as contractors of the IRS collecting taxes. Employees of these collection agencies must follow provisions of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and should be courteous and respect taxpayers' rights. The IRS will do everything it can to help taxpayers avoid confusion and understand their rights and tax responsibilities, particularly in light of continual phone scams where callers impersonate the IRS agents or request immediate payment. Private collection agencies will not ask for payment on a prepaid debit, iTunes, or gift card. Taxpayers will be informed about electronic payment options for taxpayers on irs.gov/pay. Payment by check could be payable to the U.S. Treasury and sent directly to the IRS, not the private collection agency. The IRS will continue to keep taxpayers informed about scams. I think it's just because they're so backlog is why they went to this. I think the IRS did not want to use private collection agencies because that cuts into their budget. First of all, they're going to give up some of that money for this agency to do it. Second of all, that's employees that they probably wanted to hire themselves to get more agents. But they're so backlogged, I think they were kind of forced into this because they're so far back.
Run them. We got a live on Run them. Anyone remember that? Market crash. 98C again, another Rumble rant, $17. Phil, is there anything we can do to speed up the Black Swan event or the stock market crash? Run them.
I cannot believe. I cannot believe he's out here. Typically, someone calling for a run on the bank is illegal. I can't believe he just keeps saying this. I can't believe he just keeps saying this.
We got a live on Run them. Anyone remember that? Run them. Run them into the ground. Run them and run them and run them every week. Run them every other day. Run them. Make them give you your money. Don't hold.
Especially if it's based on fucking lies and shit.
Hold it there. Don't let it fondle around in the bank. Run them. It's in your best interest, and it will do exactly what you just said. It will speed up the process. Run them. They don't have your money, guys. The banks don't have your money. I know they send you a statement, and it says that you have money in there. Okay, do me a favor. All the millions that are watching right now, run them. And let's see how many of you actually get the money out. Because I'm telling you right now, that's not going to happen. They're not going to give it to you. Some of you, you'll get in there early, and you'll get your withdrawal. Others that don't. And then they're going to say, well, we are insolvent. Your bank is going to write a letter saying that we are insolvent. That means that...
most people are going to be under the line that they're going to get FDIC insurance.
You gave them, they don't have. Did anyone ever read their banking agreement with your bank? Do you know what happens if your bank becomes insolvent? Whatever's in your accounts belongs to them. You have a safety deposit box? They own that too. And then your recourse is to go to the FDIC. That is the insurance company for the Federal Reserve. Good luck.
A safety deposit box would not fall into the same thing, because a lot of people keep sentimental items, non-valuable items. It's not just like you keep gold bars or some shit in there. Hell, you might keep like fucking birth certificates or old pictures or old shit like that. A safety deposit box is not the same. The FDIC will step in. Usually you get paid out before the fucking next business day hits.
Good luck going to the Federal Reserve's insurance company, asking for your money that was in the bank. Could only be under $250,000. Can't be over. So if you got $500 in there, you're only entitled to $250 back.
If you incited a run on the bank and it's a publicly traded bank, that's 100% stock manipulation. 100%.
What if you have $5 million in there? You're only insured up to $250,000. How about those people from Silicon Valley Bank? You think they ever got their money back? All those millions? Nah. No. I know some of those people personally. They didn't get it.
They did. They literally did. They literally did get all that money. Every bit of it. All of it. Even the ones that were above the FDIC numbers. They got their money because the government decided to do that. They fully reimbursed every person at that bank. All of them.
Run them. You want to speed up the process? Run them. So why do you never answer questions on DLive? Great question. My bad. I'm going to go over there right now. Whoops. Here, I'll open this treasure chest for you guys too. You ready? Should we reverse?
No, our FDIC.
So _anywire just resubscribed for 12 months. Still going strong as a listener. Sorry I don't chat often, but I always support you. Be a man.
Thank you, I appreciate
Sparkles, 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 party popper, party popper, party popper.
Thank you, I appreciate the resubscription. That's a year. Thank you very much. Our FDIC does deposit accounts up to $250,000. Then, if it is another person, so that if you and wife are together, then you're at $500,000, and that's for each account. $250,000 or $500,000 on checking, $250,000, $500,000 on savings, $250,000, $500,000 on money market, $250. FDIC secures all that, $250,000 per individual on each one.
2,500 lemons coming out of this chest. 30 seconds. Better go claim them. Haven't done this in a while. I didn't know there were that many in there. 2.5K. Wow. Cool. You live up?
You only have 2,000 lemons? Damn, I've done treasure chests that were like hundreds of thousands of shit.
All right, wait 15 seconds. Open the chest. For those of you that don't know, DLive accumulates lemons over time, and they put them in a treasure chest that only I can open. When the chest gets open, the viewers could collect the lemons. And the only thing you can really do with the lemons is to give them back to me anyway. So, top lemon getter, J. Lawler, 235.2. Sherry B, 135.5. Wow. T.A. Pink Lady, 98.2. Mini Tink, I recognize these names from way back when. 78.2. And Patriot Girl, 65.6. So, you guys, they have no cash value to them, but you guys can donate them to any streamer at all on DLive. You can also use them as part of your subscription on DLive. So, cool. Polly T asked a question over here on DLive. Is the reason our roads and bridges are so terrible because of the lean? I don't know that specifically.
It destroyed our roads and bridges too.
That makes total sense. Yes, there are some things that are being left out of the budget in certain states and across certain areas because of this lean, and that would make sense that would be one of them. So I would say yes to that. Why this is from your best realtor. Why do they want us to know this information right now, and why were you chosen to disseminate it? And thanks for having the balls to do it. Okay, great question. Let me tell you how this information came to me. I have a source. I have a very interesting history with my source. Now, I have more than one source, but the one source that I'm talking about now kind of verifies all of my other sources' stuff. So I like to have things double, sometimes triple confirmed. And what that means is, let's call the big source number 1, okay? Let's say I have 10 sources, round it off. If source number 4 and source number 7 come to me and say the same thing, I take that information to source number 1, and I say, this one told me this, what do you got? And if source number 1 verifies that, I report it. Now, oftentimes my reporting comes directly from source number 1, and the other sources that I have.
No, it's per ownership category.
Thing to do with it. That happens most of the time, actually. In this particular case, I had people come to me months ago with this information about the 21 trillion, the 300 trillion, and all that stuff. Months ago.
Ownership categories are single accounts, retirement account, joint accounts, trust accounts, employee benefit accounts, corporate LLC partnership accounts, per account category.
I never was able to verify it with my big source, my number one, until recently.
I hope Jeff
When I
B is
did,
one of them.
and was given certain things from that source, coupled with the other sources that gave me things, everything started making total sense. So why me? I think that question will be answered in time.
2,500 lemons isn't shit, but I guess people don't donate to him through lemons anymore. I don't know.
I don't think you're gonna.
When we were over there like exclusively for a while, right before Gen 6, we had tons and tons of lemons, way more than 2,500 lemons.
See that answer just yet, but over time you'll understand why it should have been, why it had to be.
I wouldn't even bust the chest till it was like 10,000 or some shit.
I couldn't have been anybody else in time. But I also think one of the reasons is because the audience that I attract, although it's similar to Tucker's, people still watch Tucker that aren't ready.
They go down with MSM.
You guys that watch me have been trained for so long in this exact type of information. I think that might have something to do with it. It could also have.
Yeah, none of. I would suggest that. I would think that 99% of his following, combining all accounts together, don't have 250K.
Something to do with my charm.
Lemonparty.org. That's right.
Devilishly handsome looks.
You can get free lemons at lemonparty.org. It's Lino, so basically it's a cryptocurrency. You get free ones at lemonparty.org.
Maybe in this exact type of information, I think that might have watched Tucker that and why it couldn't have been anybody else. See that answer just yet, but things from that source coupled with the other sources that gave me things, everything started making total sense. So why me? I think that question will be answered in time. I don't think you're gonna see that answer just yet, but over time you'll understand why it should have been, why it had to be me, and why it couldn't have been anybody else in time. But I also think one of the reasons is because the audience that I attract, although it's similar to Tucker's, people still watch Tucker that aren't ready for this type of information yet. You guys that watch me have been trained for so long in this exact type of information. I think that might have something to do with it. It could also have something to do with my charm, my devilishly handsome looks. Maybe
even Carrie was talking shit. Did you hear in the background? Oh God, not again.
My devilishly handsome looks. Maybe, you know, kind of on my Casanova. That's probably it, right?
The fuck you churning butter, dude? What the fuck are you doing there?
Isn't it like, no. That's just for the trolls. Someone over here asked, Mary Sunshine, is Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump still alive? I heard something that makes me think he's not. Could you tell us, even if he's not alive? Could I tell you? Yes, I could tell you.
Yeah, lemonparty.org is the place you go to reset your account so you're not blocked on DLive.
And I could tell you that the people that are telling you that Donald Trump is dead are lying. Flat out lying. They're either flat out lying or doing a terrible job confirming information, because I can tell you for a fact that that is completely false. And I'm not just like flat out lying. If he's not alive. Could I tell you? Yes, I could tell you. And I could tell Chief Donald J. Trump still. That's just for the trolls. Someone over here asked, Mary Sunshine, is Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump still alive? I heard something that makes me think he's not. Could you tell us, even if he's not alive? Could I tell you? Yes, I could tell you. And I could tell you that the people that are telling you that Donald Trump is dead are lying. Flat out lying. They're either flat out lying or doing a terrible job confirming information, because I can tell you for a fact that that is completely false. And I'm not just like saying that because it's my opinion. I like literally know that he is alive. So whoever is spewing that stuff, I mean, you really got to be careful, because you're just listening to people that are not doing you a good service at all. Why haven't we been paid with Nasera if we were paid off in 2017? First of all, we don't know if we were paid off in 2017. We're assuming that we are because of the documents that we saw. We don't actually know what the outcome there was. This upcoming week, when I have one of the sources of these documents on the show, we're going to find that out for sure. All right, we'll go back to locals. Oh, wow, I didn't see these up here. Will is from Susan Hart, 1955. Will, shit.
I don't know if you guys have you guys ever seen the website Bigfootproof.com? Bigfootproof.com. That shit's wild.
It disappeared. Oh, will mainstream media announce the notes debt paid, or will it be EBS? I don't know. I think, you know, let me tell you what I do know. EBS is currently, or in the most recent past, been designated for revelation of crimes by these treasonous traitors. Can that change?
Revelation of crimes. That's what EBS is for. EBS has been set up in the past. It's just to tell you what crimes you committed.
Sure could. Will it? I don't know. But the media will be a big tool to talk about all the financial stuff and, you know, many.
Depends on how much Phil paid him, shit on and on.
Other things. So I don't want to say it could be one or the other, because it could also be both. So I really don't know. Good question though. It's from Wrath S. 21 trillion came from the Chinese elders. I think they are the dragon blood family, if my memory serves me right. I don't want to disagree with you, so I won't. I just can't confirm that just yet. But now when people hear Chinese elders, I can hear it already. The lady with the glasses, I'm like, oh, we got the money from the CCP. No. To S. One or the other, because it could also be both. So I really don't know. Good question, though. It's from Wrath S.
What's the matter, Dr. J?
21 trillion came from the Chinese elders. I think they are the dragon blood family, if my memory serves me right. I don't want to disagree with you, so I won't. I just can't confirm that just yet. But now when people hear Chinese elders...
It came from the dragon elders. Got it.
I could hear it already. The lady with the glasses would come on, like, oh, we got the money from the CCP. No, that's not how it works. That's not the same Chinese elders. It's not the guys from like 1950. It's like the guys from way long ago. Okay, Karen? Before you make another people, oh, he said to China. Oh boy. If you really want to educate yourself, I'm not going to get into the whole history education right now, although I could do a whole live
I play a Dragonborn sometimes on D&D, so I'm basically one of the elders.
on it. Research the Chinese elders.
By the way, I haven't played fucking my video game in forever. I need to eat some of those chocolate bars and start playing some video games.
Research King Solomon, too. Let me know what you got on that. Because if that historical situation is presenting itself in our current events, wouldn't that be something? Great question. Or statement, I guess. Lake Tahoe is spending billions. Is that from the 300 trillion? I didn't know Lake Tahoe was spending billions, but anything that's being spent on a government level right now, I would have to say is most likely coming from that set of funds. So I would have to say yes, but I don't know.
How are they spending it? If they paid off our national debt, that's owed to people. How are they spending something? That's like saying my phone bill was $200. I paid my phone bill and then spent the $200 on my car payment. I heard something amazing about King Solomon the other day. So King Solomon apparently a lot of like historians believe he ran some type of mining operation or something because he had like more gold than anybody in like the fucking world. Like he had the most concentrated wealth. When you like bring it up for like modern times or whatever, it was like insane. But he had let me see if I can find a description. Hold on. Where did I find that description? According to Jewish legend, King Solomon used his wisdom to design a throne that had mechanical animals, which held him as a king as he ascended it. Upon sitting, listen, so there was these lions. Apparently, this is like a Jewish legend, but there were these automaton lions that like opened their mouth and the sound of them roaring played. And then as he walked up the stairs to his throne, there was no stairs. There was like a mechanical thing that had these animals put their paws out, and he would step on their paws, and they looked like they were like automatons, like little basic. They weren't like robots. They didn't have like CPUs and shit. It was more like steampunk, where like gears and fucking shit would turned by servants, and the paws came up, and he would step on their paws as he went up the throne. And when he sat down at the throne, when he sat down on the throne, an eagle would slide out like on a wire and put the crown on his head, like a golden eagle. They're all gold. A golden eagle would put the head on his throne, and flying in from one side, and then flying in from the other side, a dove, a mechanical dove with like beating wings, would bring him a scroll of the Torah. And this was all set into motion from when he stepped on the thrones. It says, as soon as he stepped on the first step, a golden ox and a golden lion each stretched one foot to support him and helped him rise to the next step. On each side, the animals helped the king up until he was comfortably seated upon his throne. And that's insane if that's true. But I mean, we don't have anything to verify it. But there are accounts of people like talking about this throne room and shit, which is insane. I had no idea that. Like I've seen like little intricate toys of like Pinocchio riding a tricycle, like when you push it or you turn a crank, and different cranks and designs. I had no idea that there were so many like legends and accounts and shit of basically like mechanical animals and beasts and humans and shit in the ancient world. Some guy did it on Lost Ancient History or some shit. He did a show on it and read the actual accounts like translated. And there was some wild shit. There were other places that had like automated birds that would fly by through on wires and shit, like in their city center. Like it was just crazy shit.
Know specifically about Lake Tahoe. Do we get a chunk of that 321 trillion in our accounts? I believe so. If you do the math, now first of all, I put on Telegram the other day, and I was ostracized, that the leftover 1.5 trillion or 1.1 trillion, whatever it was, that is enough to give everyone, every family, every household in America $1 million. And everyone's like, no, it's enough to give them $16,000. Well, yeah.
Not even 16,000, 9,000.
That's true if you're using the dollar currency. But if you're using the new currency, the U.S. note.
You said dollars, you fucking retard. Hold on. Now listen. I said there was $1.2 trillion left over, and that would give every household in America $1 million, and they would have $1 million. But you're like, no, it would give them like $9,000. And yeah, if you're using dollars, I'm using notes. What?
Telegram the other day, and I was ostracized, that the leftover 1.5 trillion or 1.1 trillion, whatever it was, that is enough to give everyone, every family, every household in America $1 million. And everyone's like, no, it's enough to give them $16,000. Well, yeah, that's true if you're using dollar currency. But if you're using the new currency, the U.S. note, it's enough to give everyone $1 million because that currency is not backed by the Fed. That currency is backed by precious metals. And if you do the revaluation, which all the naysayers didn't do, they just did the valuation on the fiat dollar, which is fine. I don't hold it against you guys. But when I say things like that, I'm not necessarily using.
A dollar is a dollar is a dollar. What are you saying? That a dollar is going to be worth less? That $9,000 will equal $1 million in the new world, and a gallon of milk will cost $5,860?
Our current financial system as the base for the calculations, I'm using our future financial system. Now, if you got $1 million in your bank account today, you have $1 million fiat dollars. But if we are passing out those extra funds, whether it's 1 trillion, 300 trillion, 21 trillion, we would have to use the new valuation for the new rainbow currency that would come in via Nasera. We wouldn't be using the old valuation for the fiat dollar.
So he used to say that it was 1 for 1. Now it's some unlimited number that he was able to figure out what equals $1 million per household.
So, do we get a taste of that money? Asked and answered.
So,
we wouldn't be using the old valuation for the fiat dollar. So, do we get a taste?
So, he knows he just made all that shit up and nobody's going to believe it. So,
come in via Nasera. We wouldn't be using the old valuation for the fiat dollar. So, do we get a taste of that money? Asked and answered. What did I do? There we go.
So,
go back to Rumble. This is from Felicia Beverly, $5 Rumble rant. You said before, when many truthers have nothing to report, and only you, and if you have real intel coming out, we would be next phase. It seems like a majority of truthers are putting out huge fear porn about October 4th. Yeah, so we'll talk about October 4th just real quick. This doesn't really have much to do with 21 trillion, but I'll answer this anyway. The fear porn going around about October 4th is unjustified. It started with one guy laying in a bed with a wood headboard behind them saying, oh, you better put your phones in the microwave and wrap them in tinfoil and blah, 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 because it's 5G. And that's not true. I mean, that's just not true. So that one viral video on TikTok with one guy thinking something might happen, like they're going to send out this signal 3DS and it's going to affect your 5G capability of your phone, and that's going to affect your vaccine status, and your brain's going to blow up, and then your partner's going to be able to kill you because they're giving you instructions. Like, none of that is factual, right?
The reason he doesn't even know why this exists. So the reason it exists is because the National Weather Service put out that FEMA is going to conduct a nationwide test of the emergency alert system, the EAS, EBS, whatever you want to call it, and the wireless alert system, WEA. Wireless alert comes to your cell phones. EAS goes to your TVs and radios. On October 4th, 2023 at 10:20 a.m. They will be rolling it out on the new 5G system, which I think they've already done tests before already, but it will be rolled out on the new 5G system where available, and if you have 5G. So those people will get it slightly faster, less compressed, blah, 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 and everybody else on 4G will get it on 4G. And God forbid you're still using 3G flip phones. Maybe you'll get it on 3G too. I don't know.
I mean, I would know if it was, and it's just not. So, I mean, I don't want to badmouth the guy, but what happened is so many people love that, like, area of thought where there's this big bad thing coming. The big bad thing already came, guys. The big bad thing is central banking. The big bad thing is you being a slave to your debt your whole life. The big bad thing is control, mind control, through the mainstream media, narrative control. Not news reporting, but bullshit reporting. A Biden presidency. That's the big bad thing. It's not this nefarious message coming on October 4th. You think they'd tell you about it? Let me ask you a question. If they're going to do that, right, you think they're going to give you the date that they're going to do it? So it's coming October 4th, right? We know that because they told us, right? FEMA said that they're sending out a message October 4th. We've known that for a couple weeks, right? You think they're just going to give you the date that they're going to do it? Why wouldn't they just do it right now? While no one's paying attention. Everybody's phones are on, right? Why give a date? It makes zero logical sense. And people get so caught up in this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. They're not going to advertise.
They're not saying that they're doing
all these people are going to be.
The guy wasn't saying that they were doing it on purpose, because he said that it was the first time they were going to be implementing it with the 5G system. That was going to cause something to happen. Not that they were announcing on purpose. They were going to kill everybody.
I know, Jason Circa. I know that. I know what they're saying, but it's just not. It's not accurate. I don't know what to tell you. There's going to be a message that goes out on the 4th.
Jason Circa. Who's Jason Circa? Jason Circlet.
There may be something, involved with that message based on our current circumstances and the plan and whatever else. But no, it's not like it's going to be this big bad thing in the world's going to end or whatever. They're not. If that were the case, they're not going to tell you about it in advance. They're just going to do it. I'm sorry, Greg. I don't talk about best investments. That could get me in a lot of trouble with the FTC. I don't do that. 98C again. If Lloyd Austin is the
he doesn't talk about best investments. Didn't he tell everybody to invest in airlines at one time or some shit?
Isn't the real Secretary of Defense? Would that make Ezra Cohen Watnick the acting Secretary of Defense and the person in charge of D-class? MOAB, mother of all bombs. Yes. Yes, it would. In fact, everybody in all positions of government right now that were not in those positions. Yes. MOAB, mother is the third. Isn't the real 98C again. If Lloyd Austin is the third, isn't the real Secretary of Defense? Would that make Ezra Cohen Watnick the acting Secretary of Defense and the person in charge of D-class? MOAB, mother of all bombs. Yes. Yes, it would. In fact, everybody in all positions of government right now that were not in those positions during Trump's term, meaning before inauguration of the fake Joe Biden in January 21, anybody that's not in those positions are not there legally. So you have not only the Secretary of Defense, that guy was put there after the Biden inauguration, right? So it reverts back to who was there prior. ECW.
But then we elect people. So according to Phil, and some of these positions are elected or voted on, even if they're voted on by Congress, and they were voted on by people that we elected. So we just lost all that, and these people have just been staying in their spots for free for a while, I guess.
He was there prior. That's pretty freaking
against the wish of the American people.
The only guy that remained in Biden's administration after Trump left office too. Pretty strange. Very strange. Very, very strange. Very strange. How could someone steal $21 trillion and get away with it? I see what you're asking, but you realize that the world is like, we live in a cabal-controlled world. We don't live in like a justified society. We don't have hierarchy. We have controllers that lie to us. So anything could happen. And no one said it was stolen either. That's just an assumption that we're making because we haven't seen certain things take place that we would think should have taken place since that $21 trillion payout. But we don't know that yet. So we'll wait and see. Let's reserve judgment on that. Is the potential U.S. government shutdown a way to keep us all at home to roll out the EBS? I don't think that's the current plan. No, it could be one. I could tell you this. There is a really good chance you will be home. All of you will be home for the EBS.
Get off the roads. I can't tell you, wow, get off the roads now.
I'm not going to say any more about that. I'm not even really sure if I should have said that, to be honest with you. Maybe
by the way, no one that receives secret intelligence of any sort is saying, not sure if I should have said that or not. You get a very clear what can you say and what can't you say.
Good question, but have you heard that Trump is from Jesus' bloodline? I have. I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. The Bible says that Jesus didn't have a bloodline, so I have to go with the Bible over some other kind of theory.
The Bible does not say that Jesus does not have a bloodline. The Bible doesn't mention Jesus' wedding and producing offspring. But Jesus had a mother and a father and brothers and sisters. There is very much a bloodline that would have descended from that. At least a couple generations that we could guess.
Well, there's a good question. Where'd it go? Was it $21 trillion that was stolen from Building 7 on 9/11? No, I don't think that was the exact amount, but there were trillions of dollars that were under not only the 9/11 towers, but building number 7 as well. Trillions of dollars, and not digitally either. You're talking cash and gold. In fact, the gold under the towers after they fell was burning and melted for a very long time. Getting it out of there was a thing. There was a lot of gold there, tons, literally tons. Somebody just said here 23 trillion was in Building 7. Makes sense. Makes sense. Maybe that's what the Pentagon was referencing to when they said, yeah, well, there's money. Yeah, of course you do. Was the 21 trillion being held in a trust? I believe, according to the documents, it was, if I remember the documents.
I'm sure she did.
Accurately. I think that's a good question that we could ask this week for the source that comes on my show.
Shelly Bally. I still got my tiny bat. If anybody's got a tiny Bible for
That
it.
could be true as well. Actually, a bunch of people are saying that now, so maybe that's more accurate. Let's go back to locals. Building 7, that could be true as well. Somebody here just said 2.3 trillion was stolen from Building 7. That could be true as well. Actually, a bunch of people are saying that now, so maybe that's more accurate. Let's go back to locals. Why is the circulating dollars declining on the U.S. debt clock? Why do you think? Because we're not going to be using dollars very much longer. Why do you guys think I'm trying to get your 401ks and your IRAs out of dollars? Why do you think I launched Phil Silver to get you guys to get some of your money, if not a good majority of your money, out of dollars and into metals? That's why. That debt clock. Keep an eye on that debt clock. I know a lot of you have been watching it lately. I see all the posts on Telegram. Keep an eye on that debt clock, man. That's there's some really weird stuff happening on there. Really weird. And it's not just the circulating dollars going down.
It's not going down. Oh, they're talking about the M2 money supply. Why is more of it becoming liquid? I don't know. This is an M1 or M0, so this is the M2 money supply is going down. The rest of it's going up. All of it going up. So wrong again. Even your audience is wrong, but you still jumped on that bandwagon, didn't you?
Somebody said it was 2.3 trillion that disappeared from Pentagon. No, that's wrong. It was 21 trillion. You might be reading something else, but what I mentioned earlier tonight about the Pentagon saying we don't know what it is. It's 21 trillion. It's the exact same amount that's in the documents that I presented. Do you think the 300 trillion is to be used for Jacera for the rest of the world? Yes, I do.
I think Phil only reads headlines as well. If he would have read that article or just Googled another article about it, like someone researching it, he would have found out that it's not actual money missing. I think he only reads headlines.
That is exactly what I think. My personal opinion, again, I don't have much to do with Jacera and Sarah. I'm not like, I don't have a seat at that table, so to speak. But 300 trillion would pay off the debt of the entire world to the cabal. And then that money would be, of course, seized back from the cabal through a slew of executive orders that were put in place, not only by Donald Trump, by the way. If you look at some things that Putin, just one example, put into effect, similar to how Donald Trump did, as soon as that money is paid to the Fed or to any other entity worldwide, the seizure of that money would come back immediately to the government entities that have stuff in place. So I think that's how that's going to go. There's a Looking Glass question I just saw. Do you ever worry or consider that the plan may not work as planned or as Looking Glass showed? No. I never have. No, I've never considered that at all. Not even like for a minute. Not even for 10
As Looking Glass showed, you know, his time traveling device that he did the Windows updates on.
seconds. Somebody has asked me before that question, what if, the White House should say, oh, well, we're the new cabal now. Well, then, we all die. We're all screwed. I don't know what you want to say. That's what would happen. But
I'm in it to win it, boys.
You would be saying that God loses. That's the same thing.
Oh, thank you. Someone else just sent a donation through PayPal. Thank you for the PayPal donation.
There's going to be a new cabal and we're all going to be controlled. God doesn't lose. God wins, and God is winning.
I just happened to see it. Thank you.
So I'm not going to buy into the theory that we're all going to, and people have asked me that. So when I say I don't even think of that, I have thought of it. I formulated answers to these questions before, but I don't personally, I never, as I'm frolicking through the woods, I don't say, oh boy, we're in a lot of trouble, aren't we? No, I never, not once. Because, and I tell this to my business teams too, I speak things into existence. I think that works. I think if you talk about something enough and you want it enough and you put enough positive energy via words into that thing and enough thinking, positive thoughts into that thing, whatever it is, you speak.
Like if you just keep saying that you were that you just keep saying over and over and over and over and over again that you were a U.S. Special Service or Special Operations agent, and you've been to the fucking pit, and you were Edward Snowden, and you're a white hat hacker. It just is true. To be fair, if we don't make it out alive, well, it's a hell of a good day to die. All of our light that shines strong only lasts for so long, and it's ashes to ashes again. Should we even try to pretend? I don't think so. All of our light that shines so strong only lasts so long. So there you go. That's from me to you.
Speak it into existence.
Well, from me and the offspring to you.
You know why I spoke into existence? This. Everything on my screen right now. I'm looking at CRM and Salesforce. I'm looking at a dashboard in 7K Metals. I'm looking at a dashboard for LifeWave. I'm looking at a locals dashboard, DLive, Rumble. I'm looking at enormous streaming numbers. I said I was going to do all this, and I did.
Wait a second. No, you didn't. Because your whole backstory was, I never thought that I would get this. I remember when we had 100 people. I never thought nobody would watch me. I never thought that anybody'd be here. I never thought I'd have an audience. I never thought I'd have to come in and lie and say that I used to work for the NSA. I never thought that I would use, which story's true now?
And I thought it every day, and I pushed it into reality. I willed it. And I think that's exactly what we're all doing right now.
You lied it into reality.
Are we not? Are we all not here wanting the same thing? Of course we are. So you may leave my live streams enthused and encouraged and happy. And that's the opposite of some of the fear porn guys that we were talking about earlier. I want you to feel that way because that's how I feel. I'm not, a lot of people out there saying, oh, we got to watch these people. They're just pacifying you while the cabal takes over. Bullshit. I'm telling you that we're going to win. I'm not pacifying you. If you want to live in the...
That's literally pacifying. If we were being invaded by China and I started a show saying, oh, don't worry, it's just a drill. Don't worry, our military is going to win. And it kept looking like our military was losing and losing and losing. They were fixing to take D.C. and assassinate Joe Biden. I'm like, oh, don't worry, we're going to win. 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 What would you call that? I was pacifying you. So because he says the white hats are going to win, he couldn't possibly be pacifying people.
Doom and gloom. My channel's probably not for you. Because that's how I feel. I'm not, a lot of people out there saying, oh, we got to watch these people. They're just pacifying you while the cabal takes over. Bullshit. I'm telling you that we're going to win. I'm not pacifying you. If you want to live in the doom and gloom, my channel's probably not for you. Right? Because I live with positivity. I think of things positively. And in addition to that, I have real people who pass me information that backs up my positivity. It's very often you see me dancing around in my chair and having a good time. And that's because I'm not sitting home thinking we're going to lose. I already know we're going to win. I think the timeline sucks. And I think that the plan has been extended very, very long. But look how far we've come in these 3 years. Look at all the people we got rid of. Major heads of corporations, major heads of big tech, major heads of social media, major heads of government, not only within the United States, but worldwide. Look at all the moves that we made. Look at all the great things that we've done. In those
everybody comes in and talks about the bill of his hat. I don't know why he does that.
Just look. And all those things are very public. They're not hidden, they're not covert, they're not clandestine in any way at all. And there's much more.
I mean, I used to do that too when I was in middle school. I remember even getting a hat and I would throw like a rubber band on it to get the brim down and to stay down until I wore it, like leave it on there for like a day or something.
So
but that was middle school.
A little bit, but I know it's necessary for one reason or another.
Phil never got past middle school. But he's attracted to the people in middle school. That's why he acts like he's in middle school. That's why when he calls people out, he's like, you were nothing in kindergarten, you piece of shit. I bloomed in middle school.
Oh, 10, 15 more minutes. Please explain my necklace. I mean, there's not much to explain. It's 3 nails. It's the same thing as this on my shirt. It's 3 nails. Jesus was nailed to the cross. 3 nails. So, I mean, this is fancy. It's like 15 carats of diamonds and it's gold, and so I don't know, it's fancy, but that's all it is. So this guy just said here, SSP, like, I don't know, Chinese elders, Agarthans from hollow earth is where the 21 trillion backed by real gold is where it came from. Prove me wrong, Peter. I run the banks. I don't know who Peter is, and I don't think you run the banks, but I know that the earth is not hollow. But prove me wrong, Peter. SSP, like, I don't know, Chinese elders, Agarthans from hollow earth is where the 21 trillion backed by real gold is where it came from. Prove me wrong, Peter. I run the banks. I don't know who Peter is, and I don't think you run the banks, but I know that the earth is not hollow. But the Chinese elder thing and the backed by real gold thing, that could be accurate. Will our mortgage payments end soon, plus our debts? Well, if NESARA is officially announced, that is what NESARA is. It's the end of your debt, your revolving debt, so your credit card debt, your car loans, any of that kind of stuff, student loans, personal loans, as well as mortgages and stuff like that. So it would call a cancellation to your debt, yes. I can't tell you if that's going to happen soon. I don't know the timeline on that. I have been told in the past that it has already been pushed through.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, even my hat's not like a flat bill, but it has like a general arch to it, but it's not a... I only have a couple flat bill hats. But it has a general arch to it, but it's nothing like this. Like it literally touches his eyes. It's gotta be digging into his head.
The initial stages. I guess what I felt the question at that time was, how many stages are there? You know, why haven't we finished the stages? Yes. Well, if NESARA is officially announced, that is what NESARA is. It's the end of your debt, your revolving debt, so your credit card debt, your car loans, any of that kind of stuff, student loans, personal loans, as well as mortgages and stuff like that. So it would call a cancellation to your debt, yes. I can't tell you if that's going to happen soon. I don't know the timeline on that. I have been told in the past that it has already been pushed through the initial stages. I guess what I felt the question at that time was, how many stages are there?
Oh, okay.
Why haven't we finished the stages yet? So I got excited when I heard that, the initial stages are starting, and not to realize that there's probably more stages than I anticipated. Please explain how the documents are connected to tribunals. Well, first of all, there's going to be thousands, tens of thousands of people that are indicted. They're currently under sealed indictments, but there's going to be tens of thousands of people that get indicted because of various crimes committed while they were in government, conspiracy against government, and so forth. So I think those documents are going to be, well, I've been told by the source that those documents are going to be made public anyway via trial. So that's why we didn't have anything redacted. Well, that's coming out. So you saw it from me first, but you're about to see it again. So that's how. You know, what are they going to be indicted for? Where are these tribunals going to take place? Who's going to be involved in them? I don't know, but when you have documents coming out for tribunals, there's no reason, there's actually no way to keep them private because the tribunals will be public. They have to be. People have to see what happened. Phil, love you, but you do not realize Jesus' mother Mary is his bloodline. Please learn your Bible better. I know that Mary, I know that, but what I'm saying is there's not an existing bloodline. I know that Mary, I get that. I know that. I was referring to.
Phil learned the Bible. He had a mom named Mary.
I know that Mary, I know that, but what I'm saying is there's not an existing bloodline to Jesus according to the Bible. I know that Mary, I get that. I know that. I wasn't referring to, I'm talking about he didn't have anyone in his bloodline since. Here's a nice little comment, not really a question, but the money, US dollars.
We had Jesus movie night last night, okay? Tonight is something else.
Banks are receiving is being recycled. You cannot find a dollar printed past 2017. Dollars that the Fed should be shredding. We get ones with tape on them where I work. Pretty decent theory. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's an okay theory. I haven't realized that the dates on money have stopped after 2017. That's not something I've seen. I don't carry cash a lot. So I don't know that, but that'd be an interesting theory. If they're all 2017 or before, instead of printing new money, it's just being recycled, not shredded how it's supposed to be. If you look at government policy, you are supposed to shred, money after a certain amount of time or whatever. But if they're not doing that, that makes total sense.
That makes total sense.
Melissa Blue Rose, why is the signature of John F. Kerry bubbly and not his typical signature? Did someone sign for him on such a document? Thank you. Yeah, so the secretaries of state do have people that sign for them that's authorized. The document that we saw, it was just the front page of the document. It wasn't really attesting to anything official for that position. It was just the seal on the front of
That's absolutely not true, by the way. So, let's see. 2018 Federal Reserve note print order. So in 2018, there's a schedule, and they printed $2,169,600 bills. Okay, 2019. In 2019, on June 4th, they approved for fiscal year 2019. They printed $2,502,400 bills. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're printing money every year. Series 2017. The reason there's so many Series 2017 dollar bills out there is in 2017 they did some type of mass. I don't want to call it like a buyback, but they did something and revamped the system, and they had to print a lot more in 2017 than they did in any other year recently. That's the 2013, 2017, Series 2017. They printed a lot more bills in 2017. Maybe it was the design change. Was it 2017 the design change? Was it a design change for some of the bills? I can't remember. But they printed a lot in 2017.
the page if you remember that document and John Kerry's signature. So I recognize that is not John Kerry's signature. I originally thought it was, but he has some sort of advocate within his office that does sign documents for him without using a stamper. So you guys can look that up. That's actually common practice. That's why John Kerry's signature looks different from the actual John Kerry signature that you see.
Without using a stamper? You mean a stamp?
And that's authorized. The document. Melissa Blue Rose, why is the signature of John F. Kerry bubbly and not his typical signature? Did someone sign for him on such a document? Thank you. Yeah, so the secretaries of state do have people that sign for them that's authorized. The document that we saw, it was just the front page of the document. It wasn't really attesting to anything official for that position. It was just the seal on the front of the page, if you remember that document, and John Kerry's signature. So I recognize that that is not John Kerry's signature. I originally thought it was, but he has some sort of advocate within his office that does sign documents for him without using a stamper. So you guys can look it up. That's actually common practice. That's why John Kerry's signature.
Do you call it a stamper, or do you just call it a stamp?
Looks different from the actual John Kerry signature that you see. Just looking for some questions here.
Without using a stamper. That bothered me a lot.
Oh. I got money from my old job's 401k after a year and rolling it over to my new job. Do you think that has anything to do with the financial adjustment? Yeah. What exactly? I don't know. But I think that it most likely does have something to do with the documents that we're talking about tonight, and just more proof that not everything is just status quo like we talked about earlier with 98C. So I think we see a lot of signs in our financial surroundings that are a little bit weird. This is another example of them. I mentioned some other ones earlier tonight. So yeah, I think that very well could be. Another one from 98C. Do you anticipate another false flag as bad as Maui? With all the survey flights around the world, I'm worried we are delaying the inevitable until we're sure it won't happen. When we may never know. Let me put it this way. I don't have any current intel to report that there will be another false flag. I don't know that there will be. I did know that there was going to be one prior to the Maui fires, and I reported on that prior to the Maui fires, and then the Maui fires happened. And as you know by now, the Maui fires were indeed a false flag. A false flag for what? Well, I guess that's the question that hasn't officially been answered yet, but there were a lot of children missing there, were there not? So could have been that, could have been other things. I don't want to rule out that.
Oh, here you go. This is from, when was this posted? Sorry, give me just a second. When was this posted? In 2022, December 20th, 2022. So just last year, back in December. Social media users claim that paper currency is going out of production. December 9th Facebook post, a woman who says that she's at her bank looks directly into the camera with a paper sign attached to the wall behind her and says that her bank has notified her that the government has stopped producing paper money. The Federal Reserve has suspended all available new currency, reads the paper sign behind the woman in the video. As a result, the PFFCU, Police and Firefighters Federal Credit Union, will not be able to provide new bills as we have in previous years requested. The last print was from 2017. This post garnered, but the claim is false. The Fed currently announced they will no longer allow banks to submit orders for new bills for the end of the year holiday period, also known as holiday currency special orders. Nevertheless, the Feds will continue to take regular orders from banks for new currency and distribute the new bills periodically throughout the year. In addition, U.S. currency is printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, not the Fed, and there is no evidence that the Bureau has stopped producing paper bills yet. USA Today reached out to social media users who shared the post for comment. A Fed spokesperson told USA Today that it is not halted distribution of paper money. The spokesman also confirmed that the Fed does not print money. The Fed sends an annual order for new currency to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing is based on demand and distributes the notes to its 12 Federal Reserve banks, which then supply the nation's depository institutions with cash. The Fed published its 2023 currency print order. Let's see what they did for 2023. They haven't really decided yet. So it says in 2023 they're going to print between 1.9 and 4.3 million $1 bills. I guess they haven't decided because they haven't got all the orders in yet. The orders are submitted quarterly, it looks like.
We're at the end of false flags. I just don't have any information that we have another one coming. Usually, I've been given that information in advance. And when I say advance, like Lahaina was 2 months in advance, maybe even 3 months in advance, I reported on the false flag, the upcoming false flag. So does that mean since I don't have that info now, we're safe for the next 2 or 3 months? Not necessarily, but as it's gone in the past, that would be the case. So I don't want to rule it out, but I'm not, if I had to put a percentage to it, I'd say I'm about 75% sure that we're at the end of false flags, but only 75%.
75%.
Can you comment on that tracker dollar to silver ratio that just increased to $1,562 an ounce in the 5-year projection?
Why is his video getting darker, or is that just me? Does he not have a lot?
Yeah, I could comment on that, and I think that that's low. I think that that's quite low, actually. Very low. You guys gotta understand, our currency right now, the fiat dollar, is backed by the Federal Reserve. When that goes away, what is going to back the new currency? Is it gonna be a world currency? A one currency for every country? We don't know. If that is the case, though, and that one currency through the world is backed by metals, that is a lot of metal. That means metal is going to be scarce because you need all of that metal, whether it's gold or silver, to back currency, most likely both, and probably other metals too. If you need all of that metal to back a currency, that means having the metal in your hand is rare, because most of the metal is going to be used by the governments of the world. Now, it may not be that way in every country. I do think every country around the world is going to use metals to back their currency, but it could be different currencies around the world. I don't know that. But if metal is used to back currency in any way, the scarcity of that metal will go through the roof. Therefore, the asking price of that metal will also go through the roof. Jay Leno owns a $20 million car.
Okay.
$20 million for a car? For a vehicle? $20 million? Why would a car be worth $20 million? It's a car. Like, it doesn't cost 20. What's it made out of? Solid gold? No. Do you know why it's $20 million? One of one. It is the only car ever made like that. Scarcity. So if there's very little of something, it is worth more money. Supply and demand, right? We learned that, what, 7th grade? 6th grade? So
yeah, exactly. But you don't have a basic grasp on it when you're fucking, god damn. You don't have a grasp of it when you're talking about anything else, but now it's just supply and demand. I hate this guy so much. So Jay Leno has a, if I remember right, he has a 94 or 94. Damn, I can't remember. A 94 McLaren F1 in perfect condition. And it set the record. That actual car that he owns, the car that's in his garage, not just the car in general. The car in his garage set the record for the fastest production car in the world at 240 some miles an hour. That is worth about $21 million now. But he also has a 1930 something Duesenberg coupe. Is it Duesenberg Walker, I think. Walker coupe. And they only they at the time they sold for like $25,000 or some shit. It was built in Indianapolis, like, so it's an American car brand, even though it sounds German as fuck. And they basically made these, like, it was a husband and wife team that made these Duesenbergs, and they were very technically advanced, and they were built for speed. Basically, they were like the most technically advanced, like, street/race car that they were. And they were like insane on the track. It was the first time that people had just built cars, like factory production cars, to like just go directly to the track and just fucking dominate. So they had a lot of technology in them that people weren't even putting in cars at the time. But it was almost like a mom and pop type thing. Let's see if we can. Here's a quick video on it.
This is what you call road hugging weight, but it accelerates nicely. It pulls. I mean, the car is 6,000. It's 3 tons.
But you got to remember, it was built in the 30s. It's a 30. Does it say 30? It's a 34.
Welcome, COVID enthusiasts. Another episode of Jay Leno's Garage. The car we're featuring today, 1934 Duesenberg Walker Coupe. This is the aerodynamic coupe, the only aerodynamic Duesenberg ever developed. This was built especially for Lilly Pharmaceutical. I'm sure you've heard of them, out of Indianapolis. Just a huge company. In the 30s, they were, well, probably still are one of the biggest and wealthiest companies in the world. Their two brothers, Eli Lilly II and Josiah Lilly. Josiah Lilly was the brother, the younger brother of Eli, and he was the president of Lilly Pharmaceutical. And he was the car enthusiast. He was very conservative, very private guy, but he liked his cars. He wanted Duesenberg, which is literally just down the street from them in Indianapolis, to design a car especially for him. So he walked down there and he met with, I think, Harold Ames, the president of Duesenberg, and told him what he wanted. And of course, being Lilly Pharmaceutical, money was no object, making this the most expensive Duesenberg ever produced. This was $5,000 more than the legendary 20 grand Duesenberg, which showed up at the World's Fair. Okay, let's see what we have here. What he wanted was an aerodynamic coupe. He wanted a car that was efficient and sleek and modern in every sort of interpretation of that word. He wanted something that looked old-fashioned. And I think a guy named Phil Durham, if I'm not correct, was head of design at Duesenberg. And he had a new designer named J. Herbert Newport, who designed this car. This Newport had worked on what was called the Baby Duesenberg, which later became the Cord 810. Now, this car was built before that went into production, but he had some similar ideas. But the 810 Cord, although it looked sleek and kind of sinister, it was not aerodynamic. This car was truly aerodynamic. For example, now you see these headlights here. I know these look like implants on a bad stripper, but these are here for a specific reason. As opposed, if they were in the fender, they would not be as aerodynamic. See, it's right in the center line of the fender. The wind comes in, brakes here, and goes out this way. That was more aerodynamic than having, you know, a crank where the headlight came out in a bucket or something of that nature. Notice that what they call the biplane bumpers. It looks like two wings of an aircraft. Well, that's what they're supposed to look like. What they do is that cuts the wind much more efficiently. The big flat bumper. This grill here, which was, I think, probably the single most expensive automotive part you could come up with back in the day. This grill was $1,200. Now a house was $1,200 in the early 30s. The V windshield, notice the way it's slanted back. It's very aerodynamic, very aircraft looking, and the interior is really aircraft looking. But we'll get to that in a second. You've got these sort of.
It's a pretty cool car.
I got to tell you how I came to get this car. That's another fascinating
That bitch
story.
is thick.
Well, I guess I'm getting off the track here. Let me go back to Lilly. What happened to Lilly was Lilly got this car, and being a conservative guy and a very private guy, it was just too big and too flamboyant. Remember, this is the middle of the Depression, and people.
So it is technically a one of one, but that's just the aerodynamic version kind of deal that makes it a one of one.
Rocks cars like this back in the day. Because you see this thing, I mean, this looks like it was just meant to run over poor people. That was the idea behind it. You look like a landlord coming to collect the rent, pulling up in this thing. Plus, Josiah Lilly did not drive. I don't think he drove, but he never drove this car. He always had a chauffeur. And since it's a two-seater car, it's somewhat cramped. It looked rather odd as the two guys driving along with a chauffeur sitting right next to us as opposed to sitting in the back. Anyway, he felt the car was too hot, a little too big, too unwieldy. He only kept it for a year. And the interesting thing was, when this car came out in 1934,
he has another car. He has another car that he worked with GM to create. What's it called? The EcoJet or some shit? It was like it's like a biodiesel something whatever. motor that he worked with GM to develop and put in a car?
He met with Ames, I think, in May, looked at the plans for the aerodynamic coupe, and in August it was ready to be mounted on the chassis. The chassis for this car weighs 4,400 pounds, and with the body on it, it makes this thing well over 3 tons. I mean, but you know, the aerodynamics really work. It's 70 miles an hour. This is turning less RPM than the other.
It's a concept car, and he owns it. But he worked with GM to make it. There it is. It's the 2006 EcoJet. What's it say here? Leno's collaboration with GM to create the 2006 EcoJet car. It was inspired by the 1963 Chrysler turbine using biodiesel engine instead of traditional fuel design. Leno himself, along with a few other garage technicians and enthusiasts, worked on drafting the original concepts for GM to produce. Because of his efforts in bringing this iconic ride to life, Leno didn't have to pay for it. However, because it's the only one in existence, most consider the one-off supercar more priceless than anything. There's no price on this one. Should Leno ever decide to part with it, it would likely fetch far more than any other in his collection or any other collection. So, like, there's no price on this. It is a one-of-one. It's a concept car that he helped design.
And it does cut the wind, and you can actually have a conversation. It's pretty quiet in this car because the wind literally cuts through it and goes over it. Anyway, just sadly had the car just about a year. He traded in it, and then it went to New York, and then it was bought by a woman named Rita DeMay, something like that. She was the mistress of one of those Tammany Hall politicians, a guy named Boss. That sounds like Boss Hogg, Boss Haig, something like that. Anyway, they had one of these relationships that was sort of ooh, hush, hush, you know, that kind of thing. So the car was never really seen in public. She kept it. She was Canadian, and she would drive this from New York to Canada to visit him. She took this thing to Europe with her, but it was never really photographed or seen much. Okay. Then a guy named Otto Stoyer, or S-T-O-Y-E, he owned a gas station on Long Island. By this time, the car was starting to get a little worn. He bought this thing, and believe it or not, he used it as a tow truck. It had a hook in the back, and he would drag cars off the highway with it, and it was left outside, and the fenders rotted.
Tow truck.
This is a leather top, by the way. This is leather.
It was a tow truck.
You just go back to the dealership, and they put a new top on. Well, how cost efficient is that? But that's what you're dealing with here. These were rich people back in the day. Anyway, this thing sat in the back of Otto's gas station for 10 years, maybe 15 years, just rotting away. And the guy I got it from, Morton French, bought it in 1963 for $400. And now French was a very wealthy guy who owned a patent on a number of plastics, but he was, shall we say, thrifty. And he didn't put a lot of time or effort in it. He had a buddy of his, a gentleman named Herb Guthrie, did a lot of work on the car. But it was not done the way we think of doing work on a classic today. You know, you put white leather in it, a few other things. Anyway, my friend Randy Ema, who was the Duesenberg expert, he had never seen this car, but he'd always heard about it. Because don't forget, nobody saw it back in the day. Once it got delivered to Lilly, it just went into their mansion, their compound, and it was never really seen. And then it got bought by the mistress of that guy, and then it went to Canada. So nobody really knew this car. And every time Randy was in New York and wanted to see this, Morton French went into show it to him. Then finally Guthrie was working on it, called Randy about some parts or some information, invited Randy to come see it. And Randy realized, oh my God, this thing is really kind of cool looking. When you see period photos of it, and there aren't many, it just looks big and ugly. But in person, it's actually quite sleek and kind of sinister and really fascinating looking. So he told me about it. I said, well, I got to buy this car. So I call up Morton then. He was one of these irascible guys, well into his 80s. I must have talked to him every week for a year. So finally, he wanted $500,000 for it. It was just a complete wreck, but it's the only one. So I said, okay. So I bought it for $500,000. Okay. I go, we give him the check. He goes, no, I don't want the check. No, I'm not paying capital gains. Capital gains is 20%. I'm not paying that. I'm not paying the government. The government's not getting my money back. I said, what do you want? Just hold on to it. Just hold on to it. Well, what about it? Just take the car. Just don't pay me. I'm not paying capital gains. Okay, so I get the car back here, and now Pebble Beach is about 11 months away. To do this car, unless Randy did a Herculean task restoring this car. Went to Randy's shop. They made new fenders, did everything. The engine from years of towing cars off it was completely worn out, just beaten and thrashed. This thing was, every single part needed to be fixed or replaced. Okay, well, Randy did all that. Meanwhile, you know,
he has the history of all his cars that are in here. I watched a special with, you guys know Tim Allen, but he played Tim the Toolman on Home Improvement, and he's a real life hot rod guy. Plus, in the show, he was a hot rod guy. He was building hot rods for him and his wife and stuff, like in the backstory of the show. And he knows the history. Like, I watched something that was like a nonfiction, right? It wasn't like the from Home Improvement. It was just them talking cars. He knows all the stories of every car.
To get this thing done. I still don't own it. Okay. Pebble Beach is coming up. I figure, well, I've owned the car, God, about 8-9 months now. Let me call Morton again. Morton, no, I'm not paying capital gains. I'm not going to pay that guy. The government's not getting my money. All right, fine. So I figure, well, let me talk to his wife. You know, so a couple weeks I call the wife and go, hi, listen, you know, I got $500,000 of your money. I'd like to give it to you. And I hear Morton goes, oh, no, tell him not going to do capital gains. All right, fine. So like, he doesn't want to take the money because he doesn't want to pay capital gains. It makes no sense to me. Okay, then the car gets finished. The car's done. I put another $500,000 into it. It's now in Pebble Beach. Okay. We got second place because the car wasn't quite finished. It literally ran for the first time that morning at Pebble Beach. Randy was so hectic. He did a beautiful job. We won most elegant car. We got a bunch of, it was really fun. It was great. It was great. So now I've got the car, but I still don't own it, you know? And Morton is like 88 years old at this point. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Okay, so I just sit on it for a couple of weeks, and they pick up the paper and say, Clinton to lower capital gains from 28% to 20%. Okay, so I said, when did that happen? What happened yesterday? So I call Morton. I go, Morton. He goes, I said, Morton, did you check the paper? Oh, the capital gains down to 20%. He's like, send me the check. That's fine. So I send him the check, and sadly, 2 weeks later, he passed away. But if that had happened like 2 weeks earlier, I wouldn't have owned the car. I would have been a nightmare, but it worked out okay. It's really an unusual car. It's just interesting that there's no history on it because it's just been hidden all
He died 2 weeks after that, getting the money.
You've got these massive doors here that open, so you can allow cool air in. Pulls this forward so it unlocks the wheel so you can get the wheel off. But you can look at that video and see how that works. What we did not discuss were these and boom, literally the tire falls off. What happened was, this car, as I said, weighs 6,000 pounds, and it's 70 miles an hour going around the corner. I have no idea how much pressure is on that wheel lock, but rim lock, but it's a lot. As you can see, it just breaks these, just shatters them like nothing, like glass. But that's what's called hydrogen embrittlement. When you get something chrome, it doesn't happen with nickel. Only happens with chrome. Carburetors. Carburation had gotten good enough to the point where they would seal and the gas wouldn't leak past the valves. This also has an air cleaner, which was not common. Has all the usual Duesenberg features, the computer here that controls the lights on the dashboard. We discussed that in the previous video. If you want to, let's close this up. Let me show you how hard it is to close this. You need to sort of do this. This is really heavy. Well, your door popped open there. Let's see. And another annoying thing is the fact that all Duesenberg, every lock on a Duesenberg is a separate key. Let's see, here we go. Is it locked? We got it? No, I'm not locked in. Hang on. See, I don't edit this to show you this is what you have to go through when you watch other videos. People, things seem to happen magically. You know, cars always start first time, but there you go. Then it locks in. I just leave the key in there in case of fire. All right, let's move down. You got air vents here, here, and here to bring air into the cockpit. But that was another problem Josiah Lilly had with the car. It was too hot. It was just so hot in this thing. So he sent it back to the factory, or to Walker, the company who built the body, and they insulated it, but not properly. They just insulated the rugs from the body. What it did was it just kept the heat in and made it actually worse. The doors in this thing are massive. This is like a safe. Listen to this shot. Look at these hinges. I graduated here. You have 4 massive hinges. These look like something off a bank vault. Just amazingly huge. As well. When
I love cars.
Let you know to check all the oil just comes out of there. And that holds. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. You know, it's almost better than the drain plug because you can't strip it. Okay, there's your radiator behind the grill. All the oil just comes out of there. There's your battery box. That's different from the standard Duesenberg. Under there, it's just a pain. As you can see, we like the Optima batteries because there's no gas. They don't leak. You don't get corrosive fluids going in everything. There's the original muffler still on it. God bless them. There's your torque tube. Okay, there you go. And of course, massive crankcase, 12 huge quarts of oil. I guess huge quarts of oil sounds silly. 12 quarts of oil.
12 quarts of oil.
And there's your drain plug, like the other Duesenberg. You throw that switch that I mentioned under the dash, on the block, and all the oil just comes out of there. And that holds. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. You know, it's almost better than the drain plug because you can't strip it. Okay, there's your ratio. We put 355s in this, I think, so it cruises nicely on the freeway. It's you got the compass up here, and it's a lot of fun to drive.
It looks nice.
But it accelerates nicely. It pulls. I mean, this car is 6,000. It's 3 tons. This car, only 4 really. You had, of course, Josiah Lilly. You had 4 really. 8s are good. I like the 8s. But the straight 8, I don't know. Everything's going in the same direction now. There haven't been that many owners of this car. Only 4 really. You had, of course, Josiah Lilly. You had the girlfriend of the Tammany Hall boss. You had Otto at the gas station and Morton French. That was it. You know, they always say, oh, you should buy the best example of a car you can find. But there's only one example. You got to buy that one. God, this thing was worn out, blown out. When I got it, as I said, it had been used as a tow truck. And all the fenders bashed in, the leather roof peeled off, interior all.
I hope one day I have enough money to go, or enough, I don't know, sweat equity, something to get some cars I've always dreamed of having. I know it sounds stupid just to buy cars and let them sit around. I can only drive one car at a time, and as long as it goes from point A to point B. But there's a few cars that I've dreamed of having my whole life.
What I see happening with metals.
Bill's in the dark.
I can't tell you if you should buy XRP, IQD, or anything else. I'm not. The only thing I could tell you is that is what I do, and my wealth is in real estate and metals. Anything else that I buy, whether it's clothes or cars or that's just that's throwaway money. Like that's not. I don't consider anything. There's a couple cars that I have that are investments, but for the most part, any of that other stuff that's just stuff that makes me or my family happy to have. But real estate and metals are the only thing that I'm in. Is John McAfee still alive? Well, these questions tonight were only supposed to be about the documents, but since it's towards the end, I can answer some other ones. I do believe John McAfee is alive, yes. Will property taxes go away with NASARA? Keep in mind, I'm not the one that writes NASARA law, so I don't know, but yes, according to everything that's reported.
What should people also know about you, Phil? Sometimes the 3-letter agencies recruit people very, very, very young. So were you trying to tell people you were recruited by a 3-letter agency? Nope, not at all.
On NASARA, that is the case. Why is there a new millionaire every minute on the U.S. debt clock? Great question. That's because there is a new millionaire every minute currently. And the reason for that is the U.S. debt clock is starting to no longer take the fiat dollar calculation into their algorithm. They're slowly starting to recognize the revaluation for the U.S. note and probably other currencies worldwide as well as they relate to the note. Yeah, keep your eye on bricks. Guys, you think I'm joking around with the gold quiz thing? Wait till you see what happens with bricks over the next, the oncoming weeks. All right, we'll take a couple more from locals and we'll call it a night. This is from Dogface. I'm just telling you, that's your username. What do you want me to say?
This is just not true about the millionaires. Like, this millionaire trend has been going on for a long time. During the pandemic, do you know there was a new billionaire almost every day during the pandemic? A new billionaire, which is an orders of magnitude higher, right?
Phil, I just went through 17 Federal Reserve dollars on my person, not one past 2017. Interesting. Holy shit, Phil, I have $100 bills in my possession. You have $100 bills in your possession? Holy, what, 10 grand? You have 10 grand laying around? Good for you, it's on the bank. Excellent. Every single one is 2017 or earlier. Interesting.
Phil.
A lot of people here on local saying the same thing. Wow. Are you aware of a man named Wanta who had money in a trust for saving the U.S. that he wanted to entrust President Reagan with? Is this true? Yes. In fact, that man that you're talking about back in the Reagan days, not the same man, but the same group, were trying to do it back then, too. What they tried to do with Trump or did with Trump. And I have one of those members of that group coming on my show. Just so you guys know, when he does come on my show, it may be under a cloud of like secrecy. I don't know if he's going to want his face shown. He may reveal his name. I don't know. It's going to be up to him. I'm not sure. It is a key, by the way. Where can you buy the shirt I'm wearing tonight? There's a company actually called Free Nails.
Wasn't there an issue with wasn't there an issue with Janet Yellen's signature being added? Wait. There was a story about Janet Yellen's signature not being added to bills, so they weren't able to print the new series of bills for a while. That's why. Is that the 2017 series? Is that the reason why? Because Steve Munchin, whatever, he would have signed it in 2017. The 2017 series, but Janet Yellen couldn't get hers signed first because they couldn't confirm her undersecretary or something. It was like 9 or 10 months past when she went to sign it in 2021. They still hadn't released her signature. And and it was a big deal because she's the first woman to be Treasury Secretary or something. Yeah, their undersecretary nominee or some other person that's on it wasn't confirmed, or they couldn't get confirmation for it, and so her signature wasn't appearing.
They only sell shirts with this logo. They have a bunch of stuff. They have different colors, obviously. Green, gray, black. And
yeah, I remember the Q-Tards doing it.
Yeah, they're not swastikas either, Perry said. Maybe they just weren't wearing their glasses. Maybe they weren't wearing their glasses. 3 Nails. That's the name of the company. Not the number 3. You have to spell out 3 Nails. You'll find them. The shirts are fantastic. Like, they fit well. The material is great. Yeah, they're not swastikas either, Perry said. Black and white. There's a company actually called 3 Nails. They only sell shirts with this logo. They have a bunch of stuff. They have different colors, obviously. Green, gray, black, and white. But they have long sleeve. They have what? Not swastikas. Yeah, they're not swastikas either, Perry said. Maybe they just weren't wearing their glasses. Maybe they weren't wearing their glasses. 3 Nails. That's the name of the company. Not the number 3. You have to spell out 3 Nails. You'll find them. The shirts are fantastic. Like, they fit well. The material is great. I like them a lot. Free endorsement for 3 Nails. You guys should be paying me like $200 for what I just said. It's true. The cross, I did not get from 3 Nails. This is, ironically, it's the same exact thing, and that's why I bought the shirts. But how do you lose a fighter jet? You know, just more media propaganda bullshit. That's not lost yet.
We didn't lose it. He does deny the Holocaust, so a swastika wouldn't be that weird.
In Ohio, I've seen 2023 coins. We're not talking about coins. We're talking about dollars. I do believe the coins are still being printed. I've seen new dates past 17 as well.
So coins are being printed, but not bills. Got it.
Anna B says, you were right, Phil. There is no bloodline because the blood is not from the mother and Jesus' real father is God. I buy into that. It's kind of what I was referring to when I made the comment that I made.
Oh, I buy into that. I mean, that's exactly what I meant when I made my comment.
Okay, we're going to end with this one. Roll Tide says, Phil, it has been reported that the White Hats had been infiltrated, causing another cleanout. Is that true? And is your cap.com? No, my cap is not .com, and no, it is not true. There's absolutely zero intel that I have to indicate that. If that were the case, I know for a fact that I would have that intel, and I do not have it. So that is not anything that I'm aware of, and I do not believe at all that that is what's occurring right now. That type of thing would be reported to me. 100% it will be reported to me. And it hasn't been, therefore I'm going to have to say no. So one more plug for Field of Greens. The Field of Greens guys want me to promote their product one more time. If you guys aren't familiar with Field of Greens is your full serving of fruits and vegetables in one drink. You put a couple spoonfuls in your water. There's a couple different flavors that they have, berry, unflavored, and something else. Great stuff. You find yourself eating a lot less, which is really cool. So if you're looking to lose a little bit of weight and get healthy, fieldofgreens.com. You can use promo code PHIL, P-H-I-L, for 15% off your first order or 10% off a subscription. If you take a subscription with Field of Greens, you will save some money. Whether you're an athlete or you're just looking to add a little bit of health to your daily regime, Field of Greens has an incredible set of products that I've been on for quite a while to meet your goals. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've lost a lot of weight and my tone looks different. That's because I'm eating healthier. I'm on the X39 patches, and I just feel overall, a lot healthier.
Which one is it? Field of Green or X39.
I feel like my age is reversing because of all the things I've done for my health. So again, fieldofgreens.com. The link is down below in the description of both the locals video as well as the Rumble video. You'll also see the link down there to goldquiz.com, and I will also put both of those links in my Telegram chat, or not my Telegram chat, but my Telegram announcements channel right now. Thank you guys for watching. Please share this video everywhere you possibly could. Be on the lookout for the announcement of this week's live.
To be fair, it kind of sounds like the biblical telling of the first use of roofie. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Where I have Nick Alvear as well as one of the sources and the people involved with the $21 trillion documents. And also, if you have subscribed to Rumble, thank you for registering. You could also give this video a thumbs up. That will help with the algorithm and the sharing of the video across the Rumble platform and get this video in front of more eyes for people that want to see it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. We had another record-setting audience. I wish I had my calculator on here tonight, but when I get back to PA, I might be able to pull the data from the calculator, and I'll tell you how many we're watching tonight. I know it was a lot, though. So thank you guys. I will announce my next live problem.
Hold on.
From the calculator. And record-setting audience, I wish I had my calculator on the Rumble platform and get this video in front of more eyes for people that want to see it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. We had another record-setting audience. I wish I had my calculator on here tonight, but when I get back to PA, I might be able to pull the data.
We had another record-setting audience, but I don't have my calculator on my computer. But when I get back to Pennsylvania, I'll be able to calculate it. 1, how do you know it's a record-setting audience? 2, why the fuck doesn't any PC or your phone have a calculator on it? What?
From the calculator, and I'll tell you how many we're watching tonight. I know it was a lot, though.
How is it a record-setting? You have no idea. You just know it was a lot, but it was record-setting?
So thank you guys. I might be able to thank you for registering. You could also give this video a thumbs up. That will help with the algorithm and the sharing of the video across the Rumble platform and get this video in front of more eyes for people that want to see it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. We had another record-setting audience. I wish I had my calculator on here tonight, but when I get back to PA, I might.
Imagine if I told you, oh my God, guys, best show we've ever had. We've never had this many people tuning into our show. I'll have to add it together because I don't have no idea how many. I know it's a lot, but I have no idea how many people are here. Would you believe me?
Might be able to pull the data.
Pull the data from the calculator.
From the calculator, and I'll tell you how many we're watching tonight.
I'll pull the calculator data.
I know it was a lot, though. So thank you guys. I will announce my next live probably within the next couple of days. Have a good night.
What a fucking lie, my man. Y'all are nuts. How are your cucumbers doing? Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. That's it. That's an update from Phil. I'm out of here. We're going to get back to Patreon shows. I know I've been absent. Thank you for the people who stayed patrons after my dad passed away. I greatly appreciate that. We're going to get back to Patreon shows. So that means we'll either have really short shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays or no shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays and do Patreon only. So if you remember Patreon, that's good news. If you're not a member of Patreon, sorry. Those people help keep the fucking office and lights on. They pay quite a bit. And most of them stuck around even when I didn't do shows because I was still reeling from my dad passing away. So, thank you to those people. We're going to be doing some Patreon shows. I got to get back to make up some shows and do some shows. So if you're a patron, Tuesdays and Thursdays when you do Patreon shows usually, get used to that. I think we're going to do some fun stuff. Maybe some more Jesus movies and weird stuff like that for Patreon. I think it'd be fun, like community building kind of thing. And we'll do some behind-the-scenes stuff that I'm not ready to release yet to the general public about some of these grifters. And you guys get stuff ahead of time. So thank you guys for being part of that. If you want to join that, you can go to patreon.com/coldbeer. I would greatly appreciate it. Other than that, guys, thanks for joining me. You guys keep the show going by showing up every night for some reason. And I greatly appreciate it. We'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Don't do anything that Phil's calculator, his data calculator would do for his highest record-setting show that he has no idea how many people were there. Pull the data. See you guys.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them
Have a good night.
who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6 cents for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16.
Yeah, we got to do Q Idiot's house tour. I told him I would. We just haven't done Patreon content since then, but yeah, he got his house built. It's nice.
Wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't...
Have a good night, everybody. See you on the next one. Oh, also, on the 10th is where we move the charity stream. Or no. The 2nd is where we move the charity stream to. Let me check.
You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
The 2nd of October is where we move the charity stream to. So that'll be coming up soon as well.
On the ropes, trying to ram it.
Have a good night, everybody.
Now things are getting rocking, he was doing so well. It's all over, hands on his shoulders, they ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on Cox that came first. 9th inning, second